It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their sixth NBA championship. Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, go to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Obviously, I'm not Shawn Sierra. Shawn had a bit of business to take care of this morning, so he left the keys to me. And trust me, I'll be running this show a little wild. No, I'm just joking. No Byron Pringles here today, but I will have a special guest coming up in here in just a second. Special guest co-host with me. You guys know him. I'll get to him in just 1 second, but first, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Sports Zone Chicago. Make sure you like and subscribe to Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe at Sports Zone Chi on Twitter and at Sports Zone Chicago on Instagram. Gonna be a good show today. We have Adam Chalifoux going to be talking Bulls coming up at 10 o'clock. The Bulls continue to do what we kind of predicted, and it's almost like the bottom's falling out on the Bulls. We'll talk to Adam a little bit more about the Bulls at 10 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, we have Brad Squires from the On Tap Network going to be talking about White Sox. And the White Sox continue to just mount these injuries. And, I got a guy coming up right now, our guest co-host. You know him from What's Up Cuz. He's one of the co-hosts on What's Up Cuz, our man, Jason Palmer. And Jason, good morning. Let me go ahead and set up this background. But good morning, Jason. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? How's things up in Dairyland?
Oh, man, things are great. Good morning to you. Happy Monday, everybody, despite our Chicago teams all getting their asses whooped yesterday.
Yeah. And, besides the weekend, you know what I'm saying? Like, looking at the weekend, like, for me, the White Sox are the most disappointing. Like, I'm just going to say, the White Sox are the most disappointing for me. The Bulls, we kind of all figured this coming in, what was going to happen. We didn't expect much. They gave us a little bit of a surprise in that game too, and honestly in that game one as well. But they came up short. But I think they're about just where we thought they were. The Cubs, same thing. I think they're about just who we thought they were. But you got a lot of things to say about your White Sox. And look, I don't want to go ahead and pour salt in the wound, but we did talk about this last week. And we were worried about it. And it just keeps popping up. And then, our boy, thanks Cubs, Eloy Jimenez. Terrible injury, even though I do like watching White Sox suffer a little bit on that one, just because you ripped them from our Cubs.
Yeah, it was a really bad weekend for the White Sox. It started last week in Cleveland. It just did not get better in Minnesota. So they are off today, thank God. They get a chance to reorganize, and they got to figure some stuff out, man. So I can't wait till we get to White Sox talk later on in the show with our guest, Brad Squires. He's coming on at 11. That's going to be a great conversation. But I have a lot of thoughts on my White Sox, a lot of thoughts on the Bulls. I even got some thoughts on your Cubs, Ivan. I may surprise you, but I got some thoughts on your Cubs. And Blackhawks season getting ready to come to an end here in a few days. They got 2 more home games starting tonight against Philadelphia at the United Center. They got a game. So we may even talk a little bit of Blackhawks as well. But what a weekend. The only thing I can say about this Monday is that it's good to be on the right side of the dirt. So
that is true. It's going to be 50 today, a little bit overcast here in Chicago. We got a little bit spoiled. This is kind of that time of year where it's like touch and go with the weather. I'm not too fazed by it now at 33, and I'm sure well about Chicago weather too, because Chicago and Wisconsin weather is kind of the same, a little bit colder up north. a little bit similar. But let's go ahead and jump into things. You guys know what the first topic of every show is: top of the morning.
Just when you want it. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Guys, the first top of the morning topic. As we wait for Joseph, I'm sure Joseph's going to pop in sooner or later. We're going to go right to it. The most disappointing one of the weekend, I'd say that, yeah, I guess the most disappointing one, even though the White Sox are on a 7-game losing streak, the Bulls. The Bulls drop another game in the series to the Milwaukee Bucks, 119-95. Same old story, same old song and dance for the Bulls. Missed shots, missed opportunities. Not so much lackadaisical on defense, but not opportunistic on defense. Jason, you watched the game. I watched the game. It looked like the same game from game 4. From game 4.
Yeah, I mean, game 3 and game 4. Game 3 and game 4 were basically twins, identical twins. That's basically what happened. And we had discussed it on Friday. And we said, the thing about the Bulls, this is their first home playoff series in 5 years. The crowd, we were expecting to be energetic. But we also said Milwaukee is going to come out and punch them in the mouth to try to take a little bit of buzz out of that crowd. And not only did they punch them in the mouth, they punched him in the mouth, knocked him on the ground, and kept stomping on him. Crowd never got a chance to get into the game on either game 3 or game 4. And, I mean, it just showed that right now the Bulls, they're just not there. And I was always realistic about this going into the season. I think the difference in the Bulls season, as I've said on Friday, was the Lonzo Ball injury. Everybody last year, we all said the Bulls really need a point guard. Like, if they get a point guard, they're going to be really, really good. They could be really special. We all said that. So, to their credit, the Bulls went out and got Lonzo Ball. They got one of the best point guards in the league. Unfortunately, the young man got injured. He got injured. It's very unfortunate, but the young man got injured. And once he got injured, this just wasn't the same Bulls team. And they actually said it yesterday on the broadcast that after he got injured, the Bulls are a less than 500 team. And that's about right, because that's where they were last year without a point guard. So fans need to relax a little bit. People are really kind of going in on the Bulls kind of hard. I'm like, look, we saw this coming. This isn't hard. And the fact also in basketball, usually the team with the most talent wins. The team with the true superstar wins. Giannis is a true superstar. He's arguably the best player in the world. You don't have anyone who can stop him or compete with him. And we saw that throughout the regular season when the Bulls played him. And we definitely have seen it through these first 4 games of the playoff, Ivan.
Yeah, and it's not so much as like, oh man, it's a major. It's disappointing to see because you're like, man, we got excited about the Bulls, but we mentioned in the beginning of the year, if they got to the playoffs, and they competed, we talked about just competing, competition wise, but these are wide open shots. These are things that you can correct, that you are in control of. When we talk about Zach LaVine, Zach I know is hobbled. Right, he's been hurt. He's been hurt kind of all year. I'm not gonna make excuses for him, but you could tell at certain points of the game if he plants wrong or if he's trying to take off. He's just a step and a half a step slow. It's just I feel like he's nursing a little bit. What happens with Zach going into this next season, this offseason? Zach has a lot of questions surrounding him and his game. He's still a young player. Where do you think Zach is mentally right now? You see him, he's not unable to, like I said, jump off and get a take. He never really gets calls. Where do you think Zach is mentally? Where do you think Zach ends up this offseason?
He's not going to get a max contract from the Bulls. Well, I shouldn't say that because these owners do crazy stuff. He's not a max contract player. I think that's the thing we all have to understand. He's not that elite superstar that some people thought he was. I never thought he was that. I always thought he was a very solid all-star player. A guy that you definitely should have on your team, but I don't see him as a number 1 option. I see him as a number 2. And I think that's the main problem right now with the Bulls is that they don't really have a number 1, a dominant number 1. Having Lonzo Ball definitely makes them better with the personnel that they have, but they don't have a true superstar. I think Zach is injured. I think he's gotten through an injury, and you have to give him all the credit in the world for that. Because if you look at what they were doing with him in the regular season, when we found out he had this knee injury, they were resting him. They were giving him, certain games off. He wasn't out there able to play every single game. So I think he's doing the best he can physically with what he has, but he's obviously got some skills he needs to work on. And let's be honest, his defense has always been atrocious. It's never been good. And, defense is something you got to want to do, and I just don't think he has the will to play defense.
Yeah, I think he's torn. I think he's trying to play defense, not committed. He's trying to play uncommitted defense. You know what I'm saying? So he could save a little bit for the offensive side. And I think when you have that, you have this imbalance with Zach LaVine where he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what type of player he wants to be. His aggressiveness has gone down, but I think that might be a little bit due to the injury. But still, I'm looking at Zach LaVine like, man, dog, you're going to have to make some choice. Like, are you that type of player where you're going to try to fight for this max deal and maybe a team? I mean, maybe I think Zach is definitely an attractive player. I think he'll definitely fit in well with a really, really good team. I mean, I think he fits in well with our team as far as being young and becoming a leader, building an organization. I think he's a good piece. But is he going to help you win? Is he going to be this unaggressive type of dude his entire career when it comes to the playoff and crunch time? I like Zach LaVine. I just don't know. I don't know what the Bulls are going to do. It's a big question mark, in my opinion. Something that Vernon said, though, real quick, Jason, and I feel like you would agree. But let's see. The Bulls went ahead and brought in a guy back in the 90s, a guy that was part of a team that was the just scourge to Chicago fans, the Detroit Pistons. Bulls went ahead and brought in Dennis Rodman, right, to help out and to be that physical presence to pretty much, Mike is older, Scotty's older, but they needed rebounds. They needed physicality. Dennis was that dude to kind of make that team go. Grayson Allen, and I know we all can't stand Grayson Allen, but if he was on our team, how would you feel about Grayson Allen, a guy that plays defense, does all the dirty work, and when his number's called, like the last game, he had 27 points. He answered the bell. So how do you feel about a Grayson Allen being on the Bulls team? Do the Bulls fans, accept this? Like I think if you're trying to win, a guy like that is a necessity.
I think a guy like that is a necessity. I just don't think Grayson Allen would be that right guy to come in and do that. I think he's just a dirty player, a flat out dirty player. I never thought Dennis Rodman was a dirty player. I thought Bill Laimbeer was a dirty player. I thought Rick Mahorn was a dirty player. Grayson Allen is just a dirty player. He's been dirty since college. I would prefer if he was not on the Bulls. That said, if the Bulls were to bring him in and he chooses to be effective, the fan base would definitely welcome him because we want to win. That's just the reality of the situation. I agree with what Devon Hicks is saying about Zach, and it's something that our guy Eugene McIntosh has been saying about the Bulls all year. Eugene is at every game. He's at every home game. He's watching them, and he said the problem with the Bulls is that they don't have that dog mentality. He said that. He said, these guys are kind of too nice, and I hate to use that term, but, basketball is a very physical sport. It's not out there as a non-contact sport. That's a myth. It's a very physical sport. In the playoffs, it gets even more rough. And the Bulls just don't, in my opinion, right now, have that personality makeup that they need. So, yes, while I do agree they do need a guy with Grayson Allen's personality, his mentality, I think you can find that in a player that's not a dirty player. The person who I was surprised that the Bulls didn't go after this year when he became available was Boogie Cousins. I was surprised they didn't go try to get Cousins because he was available and he would give you that size. And as I spoke with my co-host Lance Irvin, my fellow co-host on What's Up, Cuz, he broke it down for me last night. Said I've been saying it all year. The Bulls are just too small. He was like, they can't compete with Milwaukee's length and size. And I think the key to the Bulls is they've been a transition scoring team in the regular season, and a lot of that was due to having Lonzo Ball. Not having Lonzo in there to get those transition buckets, and you're now trying to rely on a half-court system where you don't have the size. People are just kind of focusing on that outside shot. And what I'm noticing is that it seems as though the Bulls players, all of them, are just rushing their shot. They're getting open looks, but it's almost like they feel like they're under so much pressure. I got to hit this shot. I got to hit this shot. They're not having a natural release. Their form is kind of all over the place in these shots. Kobe White is just completely falling off the radar. And, he was a guy who I said I was hoping they were going to trade at the trade deadline to bring in that size. His development has just stagnated in what is now his third year, I believe. You got to get some buckets, man. And right now, the Bulls don't have a person they can just drop that ball into down low and get a bucket because your guy Foux is, he's playing NBA Europe. He's shooting threes like he Tony Kukoc. I'm like, dude, get your big ass down under the basket and get us a point. But, they're going to have to look at the personnel again and make some adjustments. But I want everyone to keep this in perspective. The Bulls made the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. For the previous 5 years, we've been watching crap from the Chicago Bulls. They made a huge step this year, a huge step. And we have to keep a long-term perspective on this thing. This was a huge step forward. I'm sure they're going to make some more adjustments in the offseason, and they'll be even better next year.
And, they comparing the post-Jordan era when Jordan left in 98 to the next time the Bulls were decent, it felt like eons. It felt like forever. It was the try-hard Bulls, Dan, Heinrich, and Ben Gordon. Like that, it felt like forever. I thought we were never going to get out of it. And in 5 years, like in a time, I know the last 5 years weren't great, but it wasn't that post-Jordan era where we were begging and dying for somebody to save us and nobody came, but to end with the Bulls going into Wednesday night's game, I gave them 2 games. I still think Bucks in 6. I think the Bulls facing elimination might be able to steal another game, but after that, 2 games, two to Milwaukee, it's just too much. And they already beaten the crap out of you in your home, so I don't think there's any home court advantage for the Bulls. It's maybe one more game, but we might be seeing the end on Wednesday.
Well, I predicted Bucks in 5. The Bulls got the one I thought they were going to get. I think this thing is over with the very next game because we have to remember now Caruso also got injured yesterday. So now Caruso is, out. He's possibly got a concussion. I haven't heard the update on that. But, the interesting thing is, yes, we had to go through some really bad teams. I mean, we had to deal with Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler. For the love of God. Okay, let's not forget about that. We had
I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was hyped for that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, all right, cool. Twin Towers, we're gonna go ahead and do it. Nothing. No, it wasn't.
So what you thought we had? David Robinson and Tim Duncan?
I was praying, dude. I was like, yes. I was like, all right, we're back. I was a kid. Yeah. You had to dream after Michael. You had to dream after Michael.
Yeah, the dream. So, we had that with the baby Bulls. We had Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon. And then, we got lucky and Derrick Rose fell into our lap. We had a pretty good run there. But, we had some really bad teams after Mike. I remember when we had Larry Kostoviak starting. One time the Bulls started 5 white guys. You remember those? When the Bulls had 5 white guys starting, everybody like, oh boy, this is probably not going to go well.
Marcus Fizer, Ron Mercer, and then the miss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just terrible teams. But moving forward, even if it is the end for the Bulls on Wednesday, I think this is a win. Now going into the offseason, now you have to really make the tough decisions. Who's staying? Who's going? What do we really need? Because it's all about progression, and next year is another step. And we're not talking about a first round elimination next year. The expectations will be higher, and I hope the Bulls can go ahead and meet those. Let's move on to let's go ahead and go with the Cubs because I want you to get a full slate for the White Sox. We're going to be going to break in 8 minutes. The Cubs lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday, 4-3. After that amazing performance on Saturday, 21 runs against the Pirates. But the Cubs come back down to earth on Sunday. They lose 4-3. I'm not too upset. Like, it is frustrating. You're losing to the Pirates. But like I said before, I think the Pirates are going to be a little bit better than what we thought. We might not be as good at the pitching spot as we thought, either in the starting rotation or in the bullpen. I'm looking at it as like early year. Cubs aren't really that spectacular, or at least not on paper. I mean, right now their offense is great, but they're not supposed to be spectacular. It is what it is for me. How do you feel about the Cubs losing a series to the Pirates 3-1?
Well, I think coming into this, what was really weird about the Cubs? Last year when you guys got rid of everybody, we knew what was going on. We knew it was going to be a rebuild. So I think Cubs fans and baseball fans in general said, okay, the Cubs are going through a rebuild. We'll give them about 3 years. They got a lot of changes they got to make. And they went out and did similar to what the Blackhawks did this offseason. Remember the Blackhawks were saying, we're in a rebuild. And then they went out and they signed Marc-Andre Fleury, and they got a trade, and they did Tyler Johnson, who came in from Tampa Bay. And we were all going, wait a minute, I thought this was a rebuild. This doesn't sound like the rebuild. Well, the Cubs have done something very similar. They went out, they signed Marcus Stroman. They went out and got Jonathan Villar to play second. And I'm like, what kind of rebuild is this when you're getting veterans? It's not really a rebuild. I was expecting you to use a lot of young players. The signing of the Japanese player, though, I think he's going to be phenomenal for you. I haven't even learned how to pronounce his name yet, but I think he's going to be
Seiya Suzuki.
Seiya Suzuki. I think he's going to be really good for you in the coming years. I think that's a really good piece you have. I think Ian Happ is a good piece. I'm interested to see what they do with Willie Contreras behind the plate. You've got the Hayward contract, which will be ending at some point in time here really soon. So, you can get that albatross from around your neck. It's like the Jake Peavy contract the White Sox had. You got to get those bad contracts out so that you can move forward. And I think, the Cubs came out, they had a pretty hot start, but we all understood they were, punching probably above their weight early in the season. You kept saying, talk to me in June. Talk to me in late May. We'll see if they can keep this up. Because remember, last year, the Cubs were actually in first place at a certain point in the season, and people were very excited. And then all of a sudden, it just fell apart, and then they went ahead and did the wholesale sale. So I think the Cubs are where we thought they were going to be. They're not a good team, but they're not terrible. They're not the Baltimore Orioles. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
they're not the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, or the Cincinnati Reds, which and I think that whole bottom of the barrel, I think the Reds are transitioning with the Pirates now. So where the Pirates are like, hey, we're coming out of this darkness, and the Cincinnati Reds, due to their due to their owner and their organization putting them down there in the cellar, might just switch places. Looking at the pitching, and I mentioned it before, like if the Cubs are competing late, this is a great year. But if they're not, I could see some guys, not all guys, some guys maybe moving at the deadline, them bringing in some players, still trying to win ball games, but not necessarily, going for it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, if the Cubs can compete, if the Cubs could not get, like you said, that Baltimore Oriole treatment where they're getting blown out constantly, or that, they go ahead and give a team 21 runs or something like that. I think the Cubs are right where they should be. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe more than likely not. I'm good with it. Some Sox fans, some radio personalities around Chicago are kind of taking shots this morning at the Cubs, but I think it's because your White Sox are doing a little bit too bad. A little bit bad.
And here's my thing too about the Cubs. Okay, so obviously Saturday's game was unbelievable. Okay, so you go out there, but that's the aberration. That's not what's going to happen. That's not who they really are. But it's fun. If you're a Cubs fan, you won 21-0.
We'll talk about the contact. Like Jason, we saw the past post the World Series, they were just swinging, missing. If it wasn't a home run, a 3-run home run, the Cubs were screwed. If they couldn't
Right.
find two 3-run home runs in the game, the Cubs are, like they were just long balling it up and it wasn't working. To this point, the way the Cubs bats are, do you like? I
like their approach.
I know they're not going to be there. Like I know not everybody's going to be there. This is going to continue. But if this is the makeup, if this is the blueprint, I like that idea. I like the way that they're going.
I do too. I was tired of watching Javi Baez swing and missing balls. Especially balls that wasn't even in the strike zone. And it was funny because when they played against the White Sox early in the year, because he's now with Detroit, and I saw him, and he was still doing the same thing with Detroit. I was like, yeah, this is the Javi Baez I saw with the Cubs. And, I think it's always better to see young players and rookies who care play as opposed to veterans who have pretty much just cashed it in. And I thought that was what was going on with the Cubs, including Bryant and Rizzo and Baez and all those guys. I think they just cashed it in. They were like, well, we did something that no one had done in over 100 years. They're always going to love us. We're kind of done with this whole thing. So you go ahead, you ship them out. And again, my only concern with the Cubs is when you went out and you got those veterans. I would have loved to see that playing time go to some players that you're trying to develop. And I do think perhaps what their plan is, you sign a Stroman, you sign a Villar, and you're going to trade them at the trade deadline to bring in more of that young talent that I'm talking about and some of those prospects. So I think that may be what the Cubs plan is, that you sign these veteran pieces just to trade them at the trade deadline. And, you'll get a better draft pick this year. The June draft is coming up. You're going to be picking pretty high. You'll probably be picking pretty high last year. So you put a couple of good drafts together over the next 2 years, and you allow some of your prospects to develop. I think in about 3 years, we'll see what the Cubs are doing. We know they got one prospect from Chicago at shortstop. We know about him. We know he's down there in the minor leagues putting in work. I think this is his second or third year down there. Ed Howard. We'll see what Ed does when he comes up probably in a year or two. So, you got some things to look forward to. But now, just enjoy the sport of baseball. Enjoy what's going to happen. Enjoy the 21-0 win. That was very impressive. I don't care what nobody says. But the funny thing about it, real quick, because I know we're going to commercial, whenever you see a team blow somebody out like that in Major League Baseball, you just know the next day they're going to lose. It's like
I was expecting the opposite, Jay. I was expecting the Cubs getting blown out by the Pirates. I was definitely expecting double-digit runs by the Pirates. I'm really glad it wasn't. But no, you're absolutely right. Usually when somebody gets beat down like that, they don't want to go ahead and do the same thing the next day, and they actually show up and they get the win. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, Jason's going to go ahead and talk about his White Sox. I know there's a lot of fans steaming right now about the way that things are going. They're, the injuries on top of Tony La Russa. Everybody's at the throat of Tony La Russa again. No more Big Tone. Everybody wants Tony gone once more. So we'll see what Jason thinks on the other side of the break. You guys are watching Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In 10 innings Sunday, the Twins beat the White Sox 6-4. Byron Buxton, second home run, lifting the Twins to the victory. It was his second of the game. He hit a 2-run blast in the 7th to tie the game at 3-3. Tim Anderson and Danny Mendick homered for Chicago. The Sox led at 3-1 in the 7th. They're on their longest losing skid since 2019. They've scored just 15 runs in the 7 straight losses. A day after pounding the Pirates 21-0 at Wrigley Field, Pittsburgh bounced back with a 4-3 win over the Cubs Sunday. The Pirates took 3 of 4 in the series.
Bucks go the other direction with Giannis trotting into the front court, left wing, three-pointer on the way. It's his first of the postseason.
The call on the Bucks Radio Network, 119-95, the win over the Bulls on Sunday. Milwaukee takes a 3-1 lead in the best of 7. Milwaukee can close things out at home this Wednesday night. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
It's Macy's Friends and Family with an extra 30% off special gifts from top designers just in time for Mother's Day when you use your coupon or Macy's card. And take 15% off fragrances, skincare, makeup, and more great gift ideas. Going on now at Macy's. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance.
This is
Company
your sign for
Insurance
details.
Illinois.
Here's my thing, Shawn and Ivan, about Luis Robert. I think Luis Robert is built like a football player and not a baseball player. And these soft tissue injuries that we're seeing is a result of a guy who's too bulky and doesn't have the flexibility in his muscles, because all of his injuries to this point have been non-contact injuries, and they've all been muscle problems. Or, what he did last year that sat him down for a long time. I don't like the way a lot of the modern baseball players are built, more so the pitchers than the field players. And Jack McDowell says it all the time. When you're a pitcher, you don't need to be all jacked up. You need long, smooth muscles. And you have to have a lot of flexibility. I just think the way they're training baseball players is what's causing the injuries. They're not football players.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That was our very own Jason Palmer, the guy right next to me, talking about these White Sox injuries. And, let's go ahead and jump right into it, Jason. The White Sox lose 6-4. It's been 7 straight games, 7 straight losing games. You're continuing to mount with the injuries. People are starting to come at Tony La Russa. Where do you think the Sox are, in totality? I know you're going to jump into injuries. Where do you think these White Sox are? Are you ready to hit the panic button? Are we throwing the season away? Where are you at, Jay?
We're not throwing the season away. You can't throw the season away in April. So no one's going to throw the season away. I don't think anyone is panicking, but there are legitimate concerns, and not concerns about winning this division, because I think this division, you see the Twins are in first place and they're 8-8. Okay, so, it's not world beaters here in this division. The White Sox are going to win this division. The White Sox will be in the playoffs, especially since they've expanded the playoffs. So they're going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to win the division. But they're not a championship team right now that we can see. However, we haven't seen the whole damn team because everybody's hurt. We have no clue what the White Sox are. Lance Lynn hadn't pitched a game yet. Yohan Moncada has not played in the game yet. We don't really know who they are right now. The list of injuries, and we said this was going to happen along with Maya Kai. Hey, Maya, thanks for letting me sit in your spot today. We saw that this was going to happen. There was a shortened spring training. The baseball owners, because they greedy, said, no, we're going to do 162 games. Instead of just doing 150 games and letting these guys really get stretched out in spring training and get in shape, they rushed the start to this season because of the labor strife. And now we're seeing injuries pile up all over the league, which to me, if I'm a baseball owner, I don't want my product not being available to my customers. It's going to turn them off. I don't want to even see this White Sox team right now, to be honest. They don't have nobody. Everybody I wanted to see is not there. So why do I want to watch this right now? Especially with the terrible defense they're playing, with the seriously questionable decisions Tony La Russa is making, and Leury Garcia is batting in the 3-hole. What? I'm not going to watch that mess. I watch it because, it's part of my business, is what I have to do as a professional journalist. But if I was just a regular fan of the White Sox, which I am, if I was just a fan, I wouldn't even be watching them right now, Ivan, because what they're doing makes absolutely no sense. I know the injuries are a part of the game, but I think they need to seriously look at their training staff and their strength and conditioning coordinator position, because there's just an inordinate amount of injuries that have been happening to the White Sox over the last couple of years, and to your key players. You cannot go through a season every year where Eloy Jimenez is out a significant portion of the season. When Luis Robert is a significant portion of the season, these are supposed to be your core players. If they're not on the field, it's going to reflect in the record. Danny Mendick can only do so much. Leary can only do so much. And I feel bad for Leary a little bit because he knows he's not an everyday player. He knows he's a fill-in player. Tony La Russa is not playing him correctly, but at the same time, Tony don't have a lot to pull from. But we're in a bad spot right now. They got to figure a way to get through this, but they're not in a good position right now.
You mentioned the defense, and there's a couple things I want to go ahead and jump into there. So the defense, we'll start with Tim. I'll start with Tim because I think Tim, we talked about Tim. We have a lot. I think everybody here has high praise of Tim. Me, regardless of me being a Cubs fan, I think Tim Anderson is the captain of that team. Well, the leader of that team. We got Jose, and there's 1 and 1A, or 1 and 1A, or 1A and 1B, whatever you want to call it. I think Tim just overthinks sometimes. I don't know. The 6 errors in a week, that's too much. Like, some guys get replaced because of that. Guys will get removed because of that. What is that with Tim? How do you fix it? Like, this is something that's it's just who he is. To me, how do you fix Tim Anderson's defense? Is he focused? What's going on with Tim?
Nobody knows what's going on with Tim. But what I will say is that Tim has never been the strongest defensive shortstop throughout his career. Last year, he probably played the best defense he's played in his entire career. I think he only made like 7 errors the entire season. Now, he's already got 7, to be honest. Your shortstop, your center fielder have got to be the best defenders on your team, period. They're playing up the middle. They're going to get the majority of the balls hit to them. They have to cover the most ground. They got to be able to play defense. Tim Anderson is not strong enough defensively. And he's worked on his game, but this year, for whatever reason, it's really gone south here in the early part of the season. Again, I don't know if this is because of the shortened spring training or what. I was really most upset and disappointed with Tim for giving the middle finger to the fans in Cleveland. Dude, what are you doing? You're playing like SH, you know what? They gonna give it to you. If you were in Chicago, we would be giving it to you. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you giving people the middle finger? You need to point that finger at yourself, because the plays that he was making in Cleveland was absolutely atrocious. And again, I blame La Russa because you saw what he did to Yermin Mercedes last year. When Yermin swung on that pitch, when he just flat out disobeyed Tony and swung at that pitch in Minnesota on 3-0, he yanked him from the game. Tim Anderson should have been yanked from that game. That first game of that doubleheader, I would have yanked his ass. He would have been sitting on that bench and may not have played the second, or maybe I would have played him the second, but it would have been a long talking to. Because of what you just said, you're the leader of the team, man. You're the leader of the team. If you're doing this, I'm in trouble. And that's why I'm not happy with Tony. I don't think he's holding these guys accountable enough.
And that's when you start to question leadership. It was when you're doing stuff like this, like flipping off fans, not being. And I'm not saying, Tim, you need to go ahead and walk the straight and narrow the entire time you're here. Like, that's just to me, that's not logical. Like, that's not realistic. But when it comes to being on the field and being a leader in the clubhouse, you got to step up. Like, 6 errors, and then you're flipping off that you're having problems with fans. Is there an issue with Tony? Now let me go ahead and jump into Tony. Tony La Russa is going to do what Tony La Russa does, even if he's trying to go ahead and be flexible. And I think he was trying to be flexible when he batted Leary third, but it's just not what you do. When the guy's struggling like that, it's not what you do. He's trying to listen to analytics, but I think the biggest concern for me is who's around Tony La Russa? Who's stopping him? Who's helping Tony from Tony? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's keeping him, making the right decisions, getting on the right path, giving him the right information? Like, who's doing that in the clubhouse? Is Tony about to get fired again in season? Like, if this continues, would Tony be fired again in season?
He should be, but I don't know if he will be, because remember, the owner hired him. Let's be honest about this. This wasn't Rick Hahn's hire. Everybody know that. This had Jerry Reinsdorf written all over it. Jerry wanted his boy back. He said, hey, I got a good toy here. I got a good product. I'm going to bring my boy back. He should be able to get us over the hump. Well, to this point, Tony La Russa's tenure the second time around has been a failure. It's been a failure. They won a very weak American League Central last year where, again, Ricky Renteria could have did that. We thought Tony was going to make a difference in the playoffs. They get to the playoffs, and Houston whooped our ass. We weren't even competitive. And now you're starting out your second season. You got players hurt all over the place. You're making terrible decisions. You got players being undisciplined like Tim Anderson. It's been a joke with Tony. His decisions. Why are you pitching to Byron Buxton yesterday in that situation? Just walk him. Just walk him. This dude's the hottest player in baseball right now. A very talented guy, but he's similar to Eloy and Luis. He gonna get hurt. He's already been hurt this year. That's what keeps Buxton from really going to that next level. But when he's healthy and hot, you got to respect him, man. You got to respect him. You don't give him a chance to win the game. You put that on that next batter.
Is that Tony? Is that old school mentality? No, we're not going to go ahead and lay down to the, say we're going to go ahead. Trying to get that toughness that Shawn was talking about, like, we're not going to be afraid of you. We're going to go ahead and attack you. We're not going to go and lay down just to almost message sending. But and trust me, I don't think he was correct in doing it. But do you think that that's where Tony's at?
I hope it isn't. I hope it isn't, because if it is, that's really stupid. It's really stupid. It's just a really stupid decision, and he's been making a lot of really stupid decisions. What I see right now is basically, as you get older, you get more stubborn. Anybody's had like that old grandparent, or if you had your parents, you were blessed to have your parents in their elderly years. When they get older is when they get more stubborn. You're like, Jesus Christ, I just want you to eat the grits. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had to care for an elderly person, there are times you almost have to go to war with them over the smallest things. I think, honestly, that there's some of that in Tony. He's just going to be stubborn. He knows he should not be batting Leroy Garcia. But because the fans are all upset about it, he's like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. That doesn't help your organization. That doesn't help your team. And again, the same thing with Reinsdorf. He's also up in age. He should have never inserted himself in that managerial search. That should have been Rick Hahn's call. We didn't like it from the beginning when it was made. And we're starting to see why that wasn't a good decision. And, I was somewhat surprised that Rick Hahn stayed on after that. But I think, for him, it's probably hard because he's like, I built this team.
Right. And Jerry, in my opinion, now that we keep seeing it and it's just not working, he thought with his heart, maybe he went ahead and expected, Tony's a Hall of Fame manager. We have all these, young studs on the team. We think we're rolling. You could just plug in the manager and the team will just, follow suit and continue to do what it does. I think that's kind of where Jerry Reinsdorf was he thought with his emotions and he hired with his heart. And I don't know if that's going to pay off for them. In the future. Hopefully they right the ship. Hopefully for you guys, Shawn, Jason, Maya, Ken, all my Southside friends, hopefully they right the ship, because when you guys, man, I tell you this, when the Sox piss their fans off, their fans are pissed off. It is all out, and they let you know how they feel about it. Let's move on to let's talk about the Bears. Bears had some news, and it wasn't good news. But newly signed Bears wide receiver Byron Pringle was arrested yesterday in Florida for reckless driving on a suspended license. He also had his young son in the car. He was in the back seat. He was doing donuts on the road. So he was doing donuts with his son in the back seat. Got arrested. Just signed a contract with the Chicago Bears. Jason, I'm not going to go ahead and be like, the sky is falling. But, I think I'll say it myself. I was thinking Byron Pringle, and the way that the Bears have been hiring, I was thinking Byron Pringle was going to be a guy to take a step forward as far as leadership qualities are concerned, maybe make a name for himself. This isn't the good start. This ain't a good start, dog. This ain't a good start to impress the Chicago fans. This reminds me a little bit, and to a way lesser degree, Ray McDonald. when Ray McDonald came in here, signed by the 49ers, signed from the 49ers. Then all of a sudden he gets in trouble. He had a domestic issue, and then he's gone. I don't know if Byron Pringle gets cut, but this isn't a good look.
So it's funny because I'm laughing because we just ran the commercial with Mayhem and our last commercial break from Allstate. This is why young people's insurance rates are high. Byron Pringle is especially the reason why when you're 18 to 25, you're and a male, especially a male of color, there's a reason why your insurance premiums are through the roof. It's because of the dumb stuff like this. Now, he's got a Hellcat. Okay, I get it. That's the car he's at. Okay. Yeah, you want to trick it off a little bit. I was 21 once. I did some outrageous stuff in a car. I led the police on a chase one time from Dalton, Illinois to Chicago. Didn't get caught.
Jason was a rebel.
I was like, Jay Simpson, okay? And I actually had a valid reason for running that day, but I'll tell that story on another show. But he was doing donuts in the car. All right, I get that part. The part where he goes over the line for me is when you got your kid in the car, man. The hell are you doing? This kid's mother is about to lose it on him. When he gets out of jail, he's probably going to the hospital because this kid's mother is going to try to kill this dude. What are you doing with my child in the backseat of my car? And you're doing donuts in a Hellcat on a suspended license. He probably wasn't even wearing a seatbelt. I mean, what are you doing, dude? This is one of those stupid, youthful mistakes. He's lucky he didn't hurt someone else, that he wasn't hurt himself. And most important, the kid wasn't hurt.
I'll say that. I'll say that, and I don't think I'll call it a youthful mistake. You've been, first of all, you're an adult. You have a child. Mm-hmm. Your child should come first, right?
Yeah.
You knowing that you have this vehicle, knowing what could happen, knowing that you're on a suspended license. You're an adult. Like I'm not going to call this. You're beyond. You've been in a locker room around grown men. You're playing a sport that demands from you mentally, physically, all this. It's just dumb. Like it was just dumb, just dumb. Like it's a stupid decision. And now on top of that, they saw you had a suspended license. Now you ain't going to be able to drive for even longer. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just think it was just stupid. Just straight up dumb, bro. Just straight up dumb.
It was definitely dumb. I mean, the Hellcat it's got 700 horsepower. The car can get up to almost 200 miles an hour. Okay, if you want to play with your vehicle like you should, you're down there in Orlando, man. You're in Florida. You're an NFL player. Who's to say he couldn't have went to Daytona and put the car on a racetrack? With his prestige, he could have got that done. Or he could have just paid him.
And I'm pretty sure, like, maybe he was just trying to give the kid a thrill. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you want to do some donuts with dad? Like, it'll be fun. He thinks he's in control of the car, but you just, first of all, you just signed to a new team. It's a 1-year deal, so you're not guaranteed next year. Hell, you're not even guaranteed this year if you would have messed up badly enough. So,
right.
To me, I just think, man, it's a mentality change. We went from this last regime and how certain players acted on and off the field. Now we have this. I just think, make better decisions, big dog. Like if Byron Pringle goes off this year and has a hell of a year, Bears fans ain't gonna even remember this. But as of right now, thank God nobody was hurt. You are gonna, rightfully arrested. You're not gonna be able to drive for however much longer. Just don't do this shit again. Like don't have this be a continual dumb decision type of a thread that you have with Byron Pringle.
So here's the thing. I'm interested to see if he violated the NFL conduct policy. And if so, how so? I would say driving on a suspended license is probably gonna bring the NFL in for that because he basically broke the law. So we'll see how this works with whatever the agreement is with the NFLPA. But he did this out on the street with his son in the car. Dude, if you want to be stupid, That's one thing, but don't do it with your child in the car because now they can hit you with child endangerment charges. Did they charge you with that?
I didn't see the only charge I saw was reckless driving and driving under a suspended license. I didn't see if they added.
So see, they could be cutting him a solid just for not charging with that because, prosecutors have the discretion. They can charge you with a host of stuff. So, they could have really went after him for child endangerment. And if you do that, now I don't know what the situation is with him and the child's mother, if they're married, if they're not married, but, you do that. Now, you now give that child's mother a reason to put some more stipulations on your time with your child. They can take your parental rights away for a lot of this stuff. So I'm laughing about it, but it's actually a very serious thing. And, this is just one of those moments where this was not the time to do the, hey, don't tell your mother about this. This is between me and you. I mean, all fathers and sons have that, but it's usually Dad picked me up from school at 12 o'clock noon and we went to the baseball game. Don't tell Mom.
Right. It's not like we're going to be doing donuts in this powerful-ass machine right now. And look, I'm not going to jump on him for that. Like, it's not me jumping on him for trying to, have some quality time with his son. It's how you're doing it, dog. It's how you're doing it, where you at, and who you are. Like, you're an NFL football player. You're somebody who's in the limelight, in the spotlight, so to say, at certain times. And you just signed with a new team that's trying to become different culturally wise. It's just, not what I wanted to start with on draft week. And speaking of, draft, like I said, draft week is this week. It's coming up on Thursday. Byron Pringle is going to be a part of the team as a wide receiver, but maybe the Bears are going to be looking at some other wide receivers just in case they want to make a decision on Byron. But yeah. Hey, I believe you, Cornelius. I believe you. NFL draft on Thursday, Jason. Bears pick on Friday. They have 2 second-round draft picks. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be watching on Thursday fully, see if there's any trades, see if there's any runs on any type of players in particular, offensive line, wide receiver, and pass rusher. What do you think the Bears do on Friday? I know that we got Thursday to worry about with the rest of the teams, but what do the Bears do on Friday, Jay?
Well, here's the thing. I think the Bears need to accumulate as many draft picks as humanly possible. I'm still thinking that they're probably going to make a trade at some point here between now and the draft to get some additional picks, especially if it's someone that they like or if there's a position need that they have and they feel like they can get a player who's going to make an impact. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Would I trade my 2 second-round picks to move up and get a first-round pick? Probably not, unless that player, I really believe that person is going to be a part of my core.
It's got to be.
Yeah, the guy's got to be a star.
He's a superstar, and it just ain't nobody there.
Right. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I think what they're going to do is try to accumulate some more draft picks. Hell, they may try to trade Pringle after what he did to get him a draft pick if you're doing dumb stuff like that. But, I think they're going to try to get a couple of middle round picks, maybe a 3rd or 4th rounder pick if they can, because I think that's the way you build football teams. You do it through your drafts. And our GM wasn't left with a lot of draft capital here after Ryan Pace. So I think he's got to go out, try to get as many draft picks as possible. Good morning to you too, Charles. He's got to try to get as many draft picks as possible. And I think if the Bears can acquire 1 or 2 more picks in this draft, they're going to do that. But me, I'm drafting an old lineman with my first pick in the second round. Maybe my 2 second-round picks are both on the old lineman. I think you've got to do everything you can to protect Justin Fields because he's going to be the key to your team's immediate and long-term success. So you have to protect that asset. He should be the most protected man in Chicago. If you're looking at it from a Bears standpoint, I've got to protect this guy. We saw he got dinged up a little bit last year. You can't have that moving forward. You don't have a backup plan if something goes wrong with Justin Fields. So protecting him has got to be a priority. I'm definitely doing that with my first pick and probably my first 2 picks. I'm probably going to try to get a guard and a tackle if they're available.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of combo guard tackle guard players in this draft, and that offensive line position is deep. It is deep. So trading back, I don't think trading back is out of the question whatsoever. What Ryan Poles said about playmakers and coveting playmakers, that swayed me to think that they're going wide receiver first. But I'm with you. If they go ahead and add 2 offensive linemen, I'm not going to be upset whatsoever. I will be elated. But they go get a big playmaking receiver in particular. They have 2 or 3 guys. If they get one of those 3 guys, awesome. Then you could go ahead and start to build that front around Justin. I just hope that whatever Ryan Poles decides, it doesn't look like Ryan Pace. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look like a mess. I want it to look, or at least feel like there's some type of a plan that they had laid out for come Friday with what they want to do in the draft. I don't want there to be like there's a run on wide receivers. Now we're over here trying to scramble, to figure out what we're going to do for a wide receiver. I hope that they're prepared. I hope Ryan Poles is prepared. I think he's a guy that I just think highly of him. I'm not going to speak. The Bears got to be playing on the field. I'm not going to talk about it. I think highly of Ryan Poles. Hopefully he finds his success.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for him. It's his first draft. The thing about it is, he may have been talking about skilled receivers, but a lot of gamesmanship takes place, and the media is often used. So maybe he wants to throw other teams off the scent on what he's looking at. You never really know. But this is his first draft. Obviously, this is going to be a very important draft for him and the organization. But I kind of want to see what the guy does. And again, I'll say this again, Ivan, because I've, kind of put my Bears fandom off to the side, I can look at them very objectively. And I like what they've done so far. But the key is going to be, how well do you draft? How well can you draft and get that talent in to build your team? So this is a huge draft for him. Matt Eberflus was at the Cubs game. You were at that game. He got a pretty good ovation, I imagine.
I actually didn't go to that game. I was last minute. I had some family stuff last minute, so I didn't go to the game. I ended up watching it, and it was fun. Let's just say that. It was fun.
Yeah. So, Eberflus, everybody's going to get that new baby treatment, in Chicago your first year. So, let's see what they do. Let's see how they use that capital that you've gained with the fans so far. And let's see what they do with this draft. But, me, I'm going O-lineman. Maybe if not 2 O-linemen, I'll go O-lineman and a D-lineman. Because I believe you build a football team from the interior on the way out. But Justin is also going to need some weapons too. So I can understand if you feel like you've got that high impact wide receiver, you get him. But he better not be Kevin White.
Right. You better not be Kevin White. You better not be, Adam Shaheen. Stuff. You better not be a bust. So we're not trying to go ahead and draft guys that could jump out of a swimming pool and stuff like that. We need football players. So, with that, hopefully come Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the Bears could, surprise us and really add to this team, add draft capital, add good playmakers, good players, solid blocking up front. We need it because Bears fans are going to be they're going to be coming at the heads, coming for the heads of Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus quickly if this thing looks like crap come this fall. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we're going to bring in our guy Fargo Foux, Adam Chalifoux, going to be talking Chicago Bulls and the Milwaukee Bucks beating the living crap out of them in Game 4 and Game 3. So don't leave, don't go anywhere. Adam Chalifoux right after this break. You're watching Shawn and Maya in the Morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In 10 innings Sunday, the Twins beat the White Sox 6-4. Byron Buxton, second home run, lifting the Twins to the victory. It was his second of the game. He hit a 2-run blast in the 7th to tie the game at 3-3. Tim Anderson and Danny Mendick homered for Chicago. The Sox led at 3-1 in the 7th. They're on their longest losing skid since 2019. They've scored just 15 runs in the 7 straight losses. A day after pounding the Pirates 21-0 at Wrigley Field, Pittsburgh bounced back with a 4-3 win over the Cubs Sunday. The Pirates took 3 of 4 in the series.
Bucks go the other direction with Giannis trying to get into the front court, left wing, 3-pointer on the way. It's his first of the postseason.
The call on the Bucks Radio Network, 119-95, the win over the Bulls on Sunday. Milwaukee takes a 3-1 lead in the best of 7. Milwaukee can close things out at home this Wednesday night. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
It's Macy's Friends and Family with an extra 30% off special gifts from top designers just in time for Mother's Day when you use your coupon or Macy's card. And take 15% off fragrances, skincare, makeup, and more great gift ideas. Going on now at Macy's. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macy's.com/Star Rewards. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance.
This is
Company
your sign for
Insurance
details.
Illinois.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That music could mean only one thing. We're bringing in our guy, Ken Davis, the host of the Under Center podcast. Ken, what's up, man? How are you? It's me and Jason running the show today. I know you always get confused on what's going on.
It doesn't matter. It was just like now the text messages make more sense. All right. So I was like, man, Jason is really interested in who the guests are. I was like, I understand, Jason. I too sometimes wonder that, but now, okay, I got it now. I'm on track.
Yeah, I didn't agree to do this morning because I missed the theme music for Ken Davis when he comes home.
Hey, it's good to see you all's faces with so much tragedy. First of all, Jason, I want to apologize to you and Shawn for Friday. I was feeling the juice. I was totally caught inside of the rapture. All right, when I said Bulls in 6. Oh man. I was drinking so much bully red Kool-Aid. Woo, Charlie, it is hard out here in the streets.
That's all right, man. You know the red Kool-Aid is always in the best. So
it is. Especially outside playing all day in the summertime, you get that good cup of red Kool-Aid. But man, oh my God, the Bulls yesterday, I was hard on my eyes to say the least, man. That was early too. That's the worst part, man. Start me off with some BS.
I mean, people just got out of church, Ivan, and they had to come home to that.
Exactly. Got it.
Right. And you know, it was the same thing. I talked to Jason. I talked to Jason earlier, and we're going to talk to Adam Chalifoux coming up in a second. I think he might have had some technical problems. But I was saying it was a mirror. It was the same game, game 3 and game 4. Same damn game, same damn Bulls. Missed opportunities, not hitting open shots, no aggression. The Bulls look like they have holes on the court, and it's showing its ugly head every time they get their asses blown out to the Milwaukee Bucks.
I thought game 3 was a championship team showing you, okay, we're down one player. Let me show you how we do this, right? And I thought the Bulls were going to take that jab in the face and be like, okay, but we, outside of Lonzo, which we're used to, we've adjusted to not having Lonzo for the most part. We still see how important Lonzo is. Me and my son was talking about it yesterday because he asked me, would it be different if Lonzo was there? I didn't say they would have beaten them, but I'm like, yes, it would be different if Lonzo was there from pace, space, and defense. It would definitely be different. Lonzo is really more important than just his stats. But to see the fact that they came out and they didn't make any type of adaptations or changes, and it was the same game like you're saying, that was what was disappointing. I mean, first of all, who the hell is still leaving Grayson Allen open? At one point, there's no question. Listen, stay with him. Us two, look, we don't need to triple team Giannis because he's probably going to get it off a pass it anyway. But the only person, how many open, uncontested threes did Grayson Allen have yesterday when he was out there looking like Larry Bird? So please stop. Like that was so mind-blowing. The fact that you're not trying to pick up fouls when Giannis is basically playing the 5 at times. Like that, some of the stuff yesterday was confounding, and it's definitely on the head coaching, but it was on the players. And them 2 players walking off before time, you ain't won enough to do that, man. You got, and not even if you won enough should you do it, but you have not put in enough equity on the win columns, particularly in the playoffs, for you to feel like that's a walk-off like, oh, yeah, next game, we about to show you. And I don't have that feeling that the next game y'all showing anybody anything. So it was disappointing, man. And to be honest with you, yesterday was a very disappointing game. It did make the season feel better how they're trying to end it, but yesterday it reminded you of all the flaws that this team has, kind of what you were just saying, Ivan.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's go ahead and bring in our guest. You guys know him from the Running with the Bulls podcast. He's always on here talking Bulls with us. Adam Chalifoux, you know him as Fargo Foux. Adam, what's up, man? How are you? I know I asked that, but I already know the answer. It's been a miserable weekend for all Chicago sports fans, Bulls in particular, and that's what we're talking about right now. Let us know how you felt about the back-to-back annihilation of the Chicago Bulls this weekend.
I wasn't surprised it happened, but I was surprised it happened after Middleton went out, because I feel like that kind of gave Bulls fans, I guess, what turned out to be false hope. I think he's, their big shot maker. Apparently, Grayson Allen is now the big shot maker. So that was a little frustrating to see him. We went 5 for 6 from 3, 27 points, and quickly turning into one of the biggest villains in Chicago Bulls history. So yeah, I've had very low expectations. I went into the season saying the Bucks were going to win the championship again. I still think they're getting back there. I don't know if they'll get it done. There's some other teams that look really good, but this was a really bad matchup for the Bulls with the length, athleticism, and star power of the Bucks. And then another thing is you look at that roster and, like, besides a guy here and there, it's Holiday's second year with the team, Grayson Allen's first year with the team, Ibaka they picked up this year, but like that core has been together for a really, really long time. And the connection they have with each other, it's not something you can just scrap together over the course of a year. And so especially I feel like the lights really came on when Mike Budenholzer became the head coach there. And so I don't think the Bulls, frankly, have any business winning this series, but it doesn't have to be as ugly as it was the last 2 games. And I think that the work is really cut out for the front office to get more help in the front court, because this is just showing them how far they actually are. People got really excited in the regular season, and rightfully so, but it shows how big the gap is between being a legit contender, a team that even can push a team like the Bucks to 7, and where they are now, which is a good playoff team, solid team.
Right. Well, Adam, let's talk about that a little bit, because that was one of the things myself and my co-host on What's Up Cuz, Lance Irvin, had said going through the season was that the Bulls are just too small. They're just too small. And I don't think they ever really addressed that. We understood that this was really a guard-driven team with Lonzo and DeMar and Zach and Kobe and Io, but they don't have any size. And at a certain point, it's basketball. You got to get some height. You got to get some size in there. How do you see the Bulls addressing that need in the upcoming offseason?
It's going to be interesting what kind of guys are, available in free agency. You don't want to necessarily abandon your identity, but, you look at the pieces they tried to bring in to help that weren't super effective. I think they expected more from Tony Bradley. That guy's an afterthought at this point. Tristan Thompson's washed. I don't know if there's a specific player that I think that they should chase, but I can give you some prototypes, right? Like guys that I kind of watch and I'm like, Bulls need a guy like that. The obvious one, I mean, look at former Bull Bobby Portis giving us the business, right? Because that's somebody who they can really use. I mean, at times they even use him at the small forward a little bit in the regular season. And so that's someone that, you still are able to protect the rim without sacrificing much shooting. A guy I really would love to see on the Chicago Bulls is Naz Reid. But I don't think he's going anywhere with Minnesota. But, maybe they look to address it in the draft. I think a lot of it they're going to try to address simply by developing or continuing to develop Patrick Williams. But, that's definitely what they need because it's like a pitcher with only a fastball. The fastball can be really good, but if you don't have any breaking pitches, then everyone knows what's coming every time. And even though the Bulls are better at playing that style with Lonzo Ball, like the lack of secondary pitches, if you will, it's costing them. And so to stabilize the team, they got to get somebody. A lot of Bulls fans wanted DeMarcus Cousins, who I think could have been a nice piece. Cousins, a nice passing center. We kind of forget that part of his game, but it's got to be someone who they don't lose their identity when he's on the floor. But right now, I mean, like some of these guys that are plugging in at power forward.
That's my thing, Adam. I mean, look, you brought up the Bobby Portis thing, and I mean, you couldn't give Bobby Portis the money he was looking for when he left. He even owned up to sometimes you just need to know that you're in a good place and not necessarily go for the dollars. It didn't make as much sense because the role he's playing now is basically the role that I would want him to play with the Bulls, a guy that can start, but you can sit him on the bench. He can do all these. We all knew he could shoot. We all knew he was intense. So it would be nice to have that player. But one of the things that was sticking out to me was looking at Javonte Green out there being left open, looking at that we're counting on Jones Jr. to knock down threes. That's where I was like, you know what? And then you kind of touched on it. You have to go into, and I was wondering what they were going to do. Let me ask you this, Adam. Being that when you look at where Arturas Carnicevis comes from with Denver and how they had so much homegrown talent and built out through the draft, my thoughts were where you can't just be willy-nilly anymore with these draft picks because you have to add to your core through the draft with kind of filling out those players that you need, kind of like 3-and-D style bigs in a kind of a manner of the way, or at least one big in that fashion, because the height, that was the most glaring thing to me and one of the most disappointing. My question, though, for the Bulls to take another game in this series, if there's a possibility, what do they need to change going back to Milwaukee?
Be better at everything, especially shooting the ball. It's a simple game. You put the ball in the hoop and it results in points. And the Bucks are doing that a lot better than the Bulls. I think we shot now in back-to-back games under 40%. I don't have game 3 in front of me, but geez, 38.9%. Yikes. I get we're playing the Bucks. 25% from 3. Yikes. What's the worst part about this is it's the Madhouse on Madison. They got to change the name now to, Milwaukee South. Because that's how bad it got down there, that wasn't a home court advantage. It was a disaster. Yeah. And so I think it's harder to play on the road, but now they kind of put themselves into the situation. I will say one thing, maybe it's a little irrelevant, but this just irks me. All right. sometimes the way things happen in life can be a little poetic, and the fact that the Bucks kind of screwed the Bulls seating with a certain cheap shot. The Bulls were dealing with a lot of depth issues as they were kind of like navigating all these injuries, and all of a sudden Alex Caruso gets hurt, changes the complexion of the season for a crucial stretch. And especially if you look at the top few teams in the East, everyone's got 52 wins, 52 wins, 52 wins. And then it winds up where the Bulls, sure enough, then have to face the Bucks. And it's this nightmare matchup, because even though they're the third seed, I think that's the best team in the East. I know that's not the question. I just wanted to throw that out there because it's just frustrating that now we're seeing these guys and Grayson Allen's cooking us. But I guess to bring it all back, you got to do a better job on Grayson Allen. And I think what the Bucks do so well is you have to collapse in on so many of these slashers, Drew Holiday, Giannis, and then that'll leave Allen open if you don't stay home. And so I think they need to do a better job taking him more seriously. And then another guy they got to do a better job on is Bobby Portis. But I don't know what you do there, because it goes back to the lack of front court. Like you can't put Tristan Thompson out there. He's way too slow. If you put Vucevic on him, you're taking him off somebody else. And then you probably want Patrick Williams on Giannis. Like who does that leave? You don't really have options to guard someone who's about, what is Bobby, like 6'10", 6'11", and actually a really good shooter. Like really turned into a nice shooter at this point in his career. And he's just kind of, eating their lunch down there on that little turnaround, fadeaway, high-release jumper. And it's hard to watch. I'm not really sure they have the personnel to take that away, but at least do something about Grayson Allen, because you do have the quickness to put someone on him and just be a dog, And Jason, you talk about like off-season needs. We're talking about the front court. I'll throw in one more thing. I've been watching a lot of Timberwolves. I have to, do their highlights and stuff out here. A guy named Pat Beverly. I'm not saying the Bulls get Pat Beverly, but they need someone who's going to, like, who's kind of been through some playoff battles, who's a little crazy, who's going to kind of inspire some toughness in this team, especially mentally, and who's going to lock in and kind of lead by example and pick the guys up. Like you look at Karl Anthony Towns, all down in the dumps, had 8 points the other night, and then you got a role player kind of picking these guys up. I think the Bulls need something in that nature. You have those guys, and then they help defensively too. It's usually, you got your Rodmans, you got your Ron Artests. When he joined the Lakers late in his career, he played a very crucial role there. But it all comes down to, I guess you got to play big to stop Portis. You got to stay out on Grayson Allen. You got to shoot better, and you got to have more mental toughness. It shouldn't be, I don't feel like this team has given up, but they got to go out. Now the pressure's kind of gone. Now they got nothing to lose. So play loose and play hard.
Guys, we're talking Chicago Bulls basketball with Adam Chalifoux right here on Shawn and Maya in the Morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Adam, talk to me about Zach LaVine. What happens with Zach in the offseason? Regardless of what happens on Wednesday and if it gets to a game 6, but regardless, what happens with Zach LaVine come postseason?
That's a tough one. I think the Bulls are really concerned about injury risks. This guy's had already, he missed some games this year, and it's kind of concerning when it's like you get your knee looked at and the doc says, oh, it's fine. Well, then why doesn't it feel fine? That's scary. That being said, I think the Bulls work as hard as they can to keep him, and I think that is going to require the max. And at this point, I think you need to stick with him. You got to stick with him. He's a multiple All-Star. He's becoming a national All-Star at this point. And, we just talked about the continuity that the Bucks have. The Bulls aren't in a situation where they can really let that go. They got the flexibility to make it happen. And also, with the way it's structured with bird rights and everything, if they got to go into a little bit over the budget, they can. But I do think that they keep him. I think their hands are, I don't want to say tied, because they could say, no, we don't, but I think that would be
asset though, Adam, even if you're going to move, because my thoughts is, sorry for interrupting, you have to sign him, but sign him with the thought that if he's healthy, we may include him in something. And that's not just a Zach thing. That's an almost anybody thing that's on that team, depending on what you can get back. Because one of the things that I like the best of what Acme did was the fact that they infused this team with talent in the offseason. Because a lot of times, even on here on this platform, me and Shawn would talk, and we were talking about Laurie, Kobe White, and Zach about core players. And I'd be like, those aren't core players. Zach is a core player. But when you're talking to other teams about making moves, nobody's like Kobe White and Laurie Marketing. Like nobody's going to give you the world. But now, if you're starting to be like, yo, I got Vooch, I have so and so and so and so. Now you can make moves with these teams because you have assets that the league values compared to just us being meatballs here at home, but place value upon.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of my good friends is always talking about trying to trade him for Klay Thompson, which I don't think makes any sense, frankly.
How, Sway? How?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Klay Thompson, he's the background on my computer. He's my favorite player. I love Klay Thompson.
Okay.
Horrible trade.
Yeah.
Horrible trade.
Bulls are not doing that. My thing, who are they going to move? So, you just mentioned the kid Kobe White. I've been wanting to move Kobe White for a while. But at this point, his trade value is completely in the toilet. You're not going to get anything from him. How do they move some of these players, Adam? I mean, you're not going to move Io. You just got him, and he's got a lot of uptick. How are you going to move some of these players that you need to move somebody? If you are a GM, put your GM cap on over your Sox cap, Adam. Who are you moving?
That's a good question. Who a guy who's still got some value. I mean, it's you can kind of package pieces together. I think Patrick Williams. He's somebody they kind of like. They need a better version of him. But there were all these rumors that maybe they do try to go after Jeremy Grant, and so then if you can go Patrick Williams and Kobe White for Jeremy Grant and Isaiah Stewart. Like then you kind of solve a couple problems because you get somebody who can be your backup 4-5, who's a decent, very strong shooting big man. I remember watching him at Washington, and the guy's muscles are ripping out of his damn jersey. The guy's an absolute tank, and he's only going to get stronger. He's still, I want to say, he's probably only 20, 21 years old. And then you bring in a guy who's ready to play the 3 or the 4 and pretty much be a better version, especially on offense, than Patrick Williams is right now. I think where you're in an interesting situation with this team is you kind of look at they're, for the most part, a really young team. But then 2 of their best players are 30 and 31 around there, in Vucevic and DeRozan. And so, do you want to it raises the question, what's the window, or what's the intended window? Because DeRozan is only going to have a few good years left. I think Vucevic's game can age really gracefully. I think he can be someone who's good till he's like 36 because the shot's the last thing to leave. He's not super reliant on his athleticism. He's going to stay a pretty good rebounder. He's going to keep shooting around, 35 to 40% from three. So I'm not as concerned about him kind of like falling off as I might be as DeMar DeRozan. If they're really trying to shake things up, which I don't think they do, I think ultimately they build around what they have. I think it would be more likely that we see a move where they, like I said, package those two with Kobe and Patrick Williams and try to get it where they can have some pieces they can implement right away instead of like trying to reconstruct the whole roster because it did work for most of the year. But it's tough, like it's tough to gauge some of these guys' values. What those guys have going is they're real young. But, Javonte Green, I think he's got some value right now. I want to say they have some draft picks as well from Portland. And so I think you can maybe try to sweeten it a little bit with some Portland picks. But I'd be surprised if we see any big parts of the core moved. I think really the Bulls just need to get a little bit bigger and better on defense. And, if they were to trade Zach, they better be getting back like a Kawhi Leonard caliber player. Like if you trade Zach, you better get someone back who is like going to help you win a championship now.
Adam, my last question. One thing that the first two games of this series made me think was perhaps the Bulls would just run everything back and hope that Lonzo and Zach and Alex Caruso will be healthy for the most part. With the feeling that it's something you said, giving this core another year because they can use the old adage that the Bulls have used. Well, they all weren't healthy at the same time. How do you think that's probably going to be what they do this offseason and then perhaps try to infuse something through free agency rather than tinkering too much whatsoever?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And the Lonzo Ball thing is key. I mean, I'll be the first to say that. He's somebody, like the obvious is he's the point guard, right? Mm-hmm. But this is a smaller team, and we talk about some of their limitations with size. Well, they got this 6'7" point guard who really rebounds well. And when he does rebound, especially with a rebound on the defensive end, he gets the ball out better than – he might be the best player in the league at those outlet passes. And you look at how the Bulls were getting easy transition buckets, especially earlier in the year before the rest of the NBA kind of like started to adjust a little bit. That's their bread and butter. But like having him back doesn't change the outcome of the series. Mm-hmm. Like that's great. He's a 42% shooter. He is a switchable defender. It's probably not as ugly. Maybe they steal that game one, but they need more tools. I think what's tricky, the thing for the Bulls is like, and that's one of the reasons that I think the name Jeremy Grant keeps coming up, is they need a certain type of guy, because you can't just take, obviously, this guy's not on the team anymore, and not even the league anymore. But just to use him as a prototype, you can't just take a Carlos Boozer, right? Even though Carlos Boozer is a real nice power forward, we're talking prime Boozer. You can't just take a Carlos Boozer and insert him into this lineup because then you're not quick. Mm-hmm. I think the whole team. You look at the way they built it, and especially you look at the way they use Thad Young, who is a guy I wouldn't be surprised at all they try to bring back. But you look at the way they use Thad Young, and then you look at the way that the San Antonio Spurs were using DeMar DeRozan last year. I think they showed what the Bulls could kind of do with that. Like, hey, why don't we, we'll get rid of Thad, but then we can use DeRozan sometimes at power forward, and we'll create all these matchup problems for the defenses. And they did that effectively. But now they're starting to see like, all right, well, we're still a little too small, but you don't want to lose that quickness by getting big. And so that's where it's like weirdly specific. They need someone who's going to be able to play both forward positions and a little bit of center. That person's got to be a switchable defender. That person's got to be able to shoot at least 35% from three. And that person's got to be strong, and probably at least 6'8". And so they got to go through their spreadsheet, find someone who checks multiple boxes. And it would be great if they find a young guy who they can kind of like have for a more long-term solution. But the thing is about those kind of players is they're at a premium right now. They're valuable and they're rare. Some teams are lucky enough to have multiple guys like this. But you look at kind of the new age of the power forward position, and some guys who come to mind is, Jaden McDaniels in Minnesota, who's the guy dunking all over everybody in Charlotte, drawing a blank right now.
Miles Bridges.
Bridges. Mm-hmm. Like we started to see that a little bit with, Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder doesn't fit everything I said. He's only about 6'6", not quite as athletic as a lot of these guys, but like he's a strong, switchable defender, knocks down threes, makes good passes, winning piece. Every single place he's gone, he's made that team better. Maybe that would be a more realistic target. But I think the Bulls need to ask themselves, what's more important to us? Trying to chase a championship right now or trying to build something for, a couple of years down the road. But all in all, I think that they're in a good place. Like they're a few pieces away, not a complete team away. We think about where this team was last year and it was like, oh boy, we got a lot of work to do, and they did it. And I think that the front office has gained our trust. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. And that's where we got to give them a little bit more time because, they deserve it. They've shown us that they can do a good job in the offseason. And so I guess now we just kind of wait and see. But no, KD, this can't be an overhaul. I don't think it will be an overhaul. I think they know their identity is going to be a transition-heavy team. With the ability to slash on the defenses and create open looks. And they just got to find guys who are going to be able to fit into that system. If they do it through the trade, don't blow it up. If you do it through free agency, stay flexible. And if you're signing Zach, sign Zach first so you can make smart financial decisions, which I think they've done, especially – Bulls tried to get D Rose. Would have loved to see D Rose. D Rose wanted a little bit more money. The very next day, Caruso has a signed contract with the Bulls. So I think that they're going to do
made out better that way. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it did. And Caruso's a better fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, Adam. That's Adam Chalifoux from the Running with the Bulls podcast at Fargo Foux. Adam, before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you and your work online.
Sure. At Twitter, Fargo Foux at the bottom of your screen. And then if you're listening, FARGOFOUX. And then, pretty much find me there. I'm always tweeting stuff out. If you're trying to catch my Minnesota Timberwolves analysis, a lot of that lately on our 30-minute sportscast on Friday nights. That's Sports Extra. And that's if you go to kvrr.com, we got a live stream link. You can catch us there. Always a pleasure coming on, talking Bulls. Hopefully they give us more to smile about next time.
Hopefully.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Adam. Thank you. Hopefully Wednesday, like you said, it's not a wrap. Hopefully it's not a wrap. Hopefully we got one more in them, but we'll see.
Yeah, I got the Celts coming out of the East, Adam. I got the Celts coming out.
I like that. I think they're the best team in the East right now, especially considering they're healthy. But yeah, they're a nightmare, man. They got dogs everywhere. And they're huge, and they all play defense, and they all pass, and they all shoot. It's good luck beating that, anybody.
Later, Adam. Thanks again, man. We'll see you later. Oops, sorry about that. But anyway, guys,
can the man say take care?
I know, but I thought he was done.
Savage.
I don't hang up the phone on everybody. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, Ken's gonna go ahead and talk with us about this Byron Pringle situation and the NFL draft that's coming up on Thursday. Donuts in the parking lot pimping over there with Byron Pringle. But we're gonna go ahead and get to some Bears talk on the other side of the break. You're watching Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In 10 innings Sunday, the Twins beat the White Sox 6-4. Byron Buxton, second home run, lifting the Twins to the victory. It was his second of the game. He hit a 2-run blast in the 7th to tie the game at 3-3. Tim Anderson and Danny Mendick homered for Chicago. The Sox led at 3-1 in the 7th. They're on their longest losing skid since 2019. They've scored just 15 runs in the 7 straight losses. A day after pounding the Pirates 21-0 at Wrigley Field, Pittsburgh bounced back with a 4-3 win over the Cubs Sunday. The Pirates took 3 of 4 in the series.
Bucks go the other direction with Giannis trying to get into the front court, left wing. Three-pointer on the way. It's his first of the postseason.
The call on the Bucks radio network, 119-95 to win over the Bulls on Sunday. Milwaukee takes a 3-1 lead in the best of 7. Milwaukee can close things out at home this Wednesday night. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
It's Macy's Friends and Family with an extra 30% off special gifts from top designers just in time for Mother's Day when you use your coupon or Macy's card. And take 15% off fragrances, skincare, makeup, and more great gift ideas. Going on now at Macy's. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance.
This is your sign for details.
What's the biggest challenge for Justin? Inexperienced quarterback, hasn't started a lot. Year 2, starting from scratch and learning a whole new system.
Yeah, I would just say that it's the process of it. You know, it's like when you're learning anything new, a new skill, athletic skill or, intellectual skill, you're learning a skill that's for everybody. That takes time. And, it's a process. You have to go through that, So, like I said, just learn one day at a time.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That was Matt Eberflus, Chicago Bears head coach, talking about some of the little hiccups here and there in this, volunteer mini camp little time period with Justin Fields and the offense. I'm not too worried about it. But something that I think I'm worried about, Jason's a little worried about, and I'm sure you're a little worried about, Kenneth, is this story about Byron Pringle, newly signed wide receiver of the Chicago Bears, was arrested in Florida for reckless driving and under a suspended license. He was doing donuts with his son, got arrested. How do you feel? I don't like how it starts because it feels like that Ray McDonald. And Ray McDonald is way worse. Way worse.
Why do we do? Wait, how are we conflating this?
It feels like it. Because it starts out badly. It starts out badly. If you got one dude that has a bad mentality, like a Ray McDonald, is Byron Pringle the same way?
Wow. Do we know how many people have traffic incidents to where comparing it to domestic violence. Also, Ray McDonald had a history. Remember, Ray McDonald had a history of
he gets in trouble.
Hold on, wait. I have definitely got. I used to live with my license suspended. All right.
Yes.
You guys bring me on here every Monday and Friday. I've never hit a woman. You could go of all the ladies that have come into my license used to stay on LaSalle downtown. All right, like it was because I'm just hold on. Let me now because we gotta level this out, right? To a certain degree, right? It gets to the point of, but y'all not gonna control me, right? Like I'm just telling you the mentality of, I gotta go do this. I'm not. So I used to laugh. Now I don't do this anymore. I'm licensed, insured. When I park some places, I pay because I'd rather pay you $3 than to get $100 and something ticket. I know better now, but I aged out of that, right? It took a minute for me to be like, yo, I don't care about that. Who are y'all talking to? Like, and also this too, factor this in. And I'm not trying, first of all, he had his kid in the car. I would never do anything like that with my kid in the car. All right. Like that's stupid, period, whatsoever. No, you never know. You could just spin out a certain way. The car could flip. You never know. So I'm not caping from him in that offense. But we've come out of the pandemic. Now, let me say this. I don't know because just like Georgia, Florida was open during most of the pandemic. So I don't know when it comes to the DMV if they were allowed to go or not, or if he was there majority of the time, or if he was in Kansas City. Right as of right now, my license has expired because I have to go to the DMV because of the pandemic. So technically, if they didn't still have the moratorium that they have, my ass would be out here bogus. And you would be like, kid got pulled over. He must be out there beating on people. I'm just saying.
Rolling dirty. Ken Davis rolling dirty.
I'm just saying, that's not what you're saying, but we got to sometimes, we just like
level it out a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Byron Pringle is not a wife beater. But what I'm saying is that your expectation of what the team was going to be and the player you were going to get, and I'm saying now you got Byron Pringle doing donuts with his son. It's reckless. You said you would have done it with your son. Do you have like a worry? Is what I'm saying, because now you had a situation where you had to cut that dude. That dude wasn't on your team anymore, and you were looking for him to
get into two more of these though.
You were looking for him to be a leader. And that's what I'm saying. I'm
looking for Darnell Mooney to be the leader in that room. All right. Just to be honest with you. Darnell Mooney is your lead. That's just like if you brought in another running back, you wouldn't say you're looking for him to be a leader. You would say that's David Montgomery. That's not even just David Montgomery. You got Khalil Herbert now that has in his second year. Darnell Mooney leads your wide receiver room. Just like your general manager has come out and said it. Like when they come out and be like, hey, I ain't talking about nobody, but I'll talk about this person. Pay close attention. Like that's Darnell Mooney's room. I'm not listen. Byron Pringle can be a bust, but if we're banking everything on Byron Pringle, and I thought Byron Pringle was going to end up here just because his connection to Ryan, whichever polls, right? So I thought it would make sense. But I said it on here. I should have on Under Center for months made the joke, man. When Byron Pringle come here, right? Listen, I think Byron Pringle will do well here, but to your point, Ivan. If he gets into another traffic offense or two, we're cutting him. Like, I mean, just think about what wait, I'm just saying, if he doesn't, if there's not, and I hate to say this, reckless homicide involved, drunk driving involved, if none of those things are involved and he just has a need for speed, I don't care what he does.
Well, okay, now here, I'm with you on that, Ken. I'm with you on that. But here's the problem. He had the kid in the car.
I'm with you.
And so he's lucky they didn't charge him with child endangerment. Because now it's different. Okay?
You're right.
He endangered the child.
You're right.
They just didn't charge him with that.
You're right.
They thrown that charge in. Now I'm kind of going more with Ivan, like, dude, you if you want to do this to yourself as a 28-year-old, trust me, I get it. Again, I give you all. I led the Dalton Police Department on a high-speed pursuit from Dalton,
Chicago, CPD, Jason, CPD. And look, let me interrupt. The greatest part, he only got me for seatbelts. He's gonna lock my ass up. He's like, nice, wonderful white gentleman. Listen, cleared it. I'm not too far from where it happened. I'm racing down South Chicago racing. Cops are a mile back. I'm like, please, right? I'm hauling ass down South Chicago. You know those like T alleys off of South Chicago that still go the same way as South Chicago? I cut off on Constance or Gear, pop into that alley. It's gravelly. My car starts sliding. I'm in there. I just picked up some friends from school. I don't even think I went to school this day because it was like the Million Man March or something. I don't even remember that those two things coincided. I stopped because I'm about to turn down the alley, but the car sliding. It's a phone pole. I'm about to slam into the phone pole. I look up in the rearview mirror. It's dust from the gravel and the blue flashing lights. His ass is in the alley with me already. I hit that bad boy and park and turn the car off. That cop walked up to that car with 4 young black men in it. And the thing that used to bail me out so much, I gave him my Catholic school ID because I didn't have my license, guys. I never had my license. So I gave him that ID, and he calmly did. I don't even know if he had his hand on his gun when he came there. That man only wrote me down for seatbelts. Inspired my buddy to do the same thing a month later in a 70-something Impala. I had to tell him, dog, we're not getting away in this, right? But the point I'm bringing this up, and listen, when I'm saying this, I'm 17, I'm 16, 17. He's 28 years old. He's like, to be honest with you, 28, and that's still young when you get old, but it's too old to have a kid in the car. You know, you should never have the kid in the car, but like you almost grown to be doing that. That's where that's where if you have worry, Ivan, I would have it. Hopefully, this is the water splashed on the face moment. It's for him. Right. But it's again, if he's a failure, who can, like there's not a lot of money involved in this.
No. My concern is because he's a starting kick. He's going to be the starting kicker punt return. I think they're pretty much slotting him in for that role. It's my whole thing is you're talking about changing culture. That don't look like culture change to me. We go ahead, Jason.
No, they had Tyreek Hill down there.
True.
Well, I mean, okay, so, statute of limitation stories continue. Jason's version. I was in my boy Eric's house in Dalton right after the Bears-Eagles Monday Night Football game. I had just been pulled over in Glenwood a week before for having tinted windows on the car. So this time the Dalton cop tries to pull me over because I had the license plate frame that lights up. Remember them back in the early 90s? We all had them. Technically they're illegal, but you know how it is when cops just want to bug you because you got a nice car. You young. So the Bears lost. I was already pissed off. I'm coming down Sibley, and I was like, this dude about to try to pull me over. I already saw it coming. He gives me how me hit the light. I said, not today, buddy. I hit that Rambo Sibley on the Bishop Ford. You know, you in order to get on the Bishop Ford, that Sibley, when they go in a circle, I hit that circle and I hit the gas. This fool ain't gonna keep chasing me. He kept chasing me. I get to the fork where you can either go to Stony Island or toward the Dan Ryan. It was a state trooper sitting right in the middle waiting for me. I was like, okay, I got to get creative. So I did the old Dukes of Hazzard move, Ken Davis. I think like I was going to the Dan Ryan. I let the trooper get ahead of me, and then I cut over the median and went to Stony Island way.
Gave him the oop-dukes.
I see it. I know exactly where you at when you said you just did that. Did you get away? Wait, did you get away?
I made it safely to my garage, and I never got in the house so fast before in my life.
And did you get a ticket for that? Did they have your license plate number? Did nothing came from that?
Nothing came from that.
This is one of the greatest stories of all time.
It is. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
This is in the National Black Hall of Fame of getaway stories. I'm sorry, brother. I shouldn't do you. This is in America's great. This is dog. He got a. This let you know it was early, boy. This is that license plate readers would have had your ass today like it was nothing, boy. Big brother be on that ass.
Wasn't no helicopter involved.
Exactly.
But here was a whole stupid part about the whole thing, Ivan. I thought because he was a Dalton cop, I'm like, well, as soon as I hit the city limits, he gonna stop anyway. Man, that fool kept coming. And when I saw that state trooper, I was like, oh. So I get off. I'm going to Stony Island way. And the only way I really lost on Ken is that I got over there past Stony Island, kind of in Pill Hill, and I hit a bunch of them side
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So turn the lights off. We're dipping and dapping.
And I made it back to Chatham in one piece. So that's my story. Now,
I'm happy that happened. I'm happy that came out.
So in terms of our guy Pringle, it was stupid. Don't do that again, man. And again, I think his biggest punishment, and like I told Ivan, is going to be that child's mother.
Right.
That child's mother right now.
It better be.
It's like, I know your dumb ass didn't have our kid in the car, and you up there doing donuts on suspended license. And, I think that's probably what he needs to be worried about the most, because like I was telling Ivan, those are things that, they can take away some of your parental rights for that. I don't know what their situation is, but that's why I say he's very lucky that he wasn't charged with the child endangerment, because then I think it takes things to another level. But in terms of the Bears, with the draft coming up on Thursday, Ivan and I were talking, and I said I'd like to see them get O-linemen with their first pick in the second round, maybe even their second pick in the second round too. But I can understand if you're going for that high impact offensive receiver, and I could definitely also understand if you're going after a D lineman. But like I had said on Friday's show, I still think the Bears need a legit quarterback to go in that secondary. So I would be looking at O lineman, D lineman, cornerback, and then maybe that high impact wide receiver. But I think you got to protect Justin, because if we can't keep him upright and healthy, they're not going anywhere.
I think that their first thing should be some guard tackle guy, which hopefully can come in and start at right guard. But also you can start having something similar to what Green Bay has when they got guys where this guy goes out and this guy steps in, and it seems like that you don't lack. There's no hesitancy, and you can move forward with your great offense. I was going to say, and this is going on with what you're saying, with that second pick in the second round, I would look at cornerback. You know what I'm saying? And the third pick is really where, depending on what receiver you have ranked in the second round when those picks come along. But that third pick is where I would look at perhaps going for the project receiver. You know what I'm saying? And I will hope he can come out and do something this season, at least be the guy that can help take the roof off. And I would prefer roof off and lanky, but either one or the other, as far as maybe he's a 50-50 guy or maybe he's both. But that's what I would probably look at is O-lineman, corner. Then I would look at receiver. And then to go along with you, the rest of my draft picks would probably be the next three that you have left when I'm saying the rest of my draft picks. But the rest of those draft picks, I'll be looking at defensive linemen, regardless of if he's a project 3 technique or if he's a guy that you can look at as a one-trick pony on the edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would look for something like that. I would look at, because you have Ian Cunningham along with Ryan Poles, another offensive lineman or two that you feel had slipped in the draft and that you had a higher grade on. And then in rookie free agency, man, you better bring in about 4 or 5 receivers, and DBs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're bringing in about 20 of them. So just, you can have your pick at whatever they bring in, but hopefully they'll perhaps get some value. But this is part of the problem where you're saddled with the team with just 6 draft picks. Mind you, it was 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, we keep forgetting, like, it was just 5 draft picks. You only have 6 draft picks, and you're trying to rebuild a team that's been having a lot of holes, that someone just using silly putty to try to cover up those holes the last few seasons.
Looking at it, and Jason had mentioned, and there's a lot of talk about possibly trading back. Do you see that as something Ryan Poles wants to do, or is he going to stay where he's at and get the best player available at that position regardless? Do you see him trading back, and which one of the two would he trade back? Would he go, let's say he gets the best player available at 39, is like, all right, you know what? Let me go get some more draft picks with that second round pick, or does he trade the first one? What's your opinion on that, Ken?
I think it's whichever one he can get the highest value on at that. No. You know what? I believe it's whichever one that he doesn't have a player that is outvalued by the rest of the players that's on his board. So if he has a similar ranking on an offensive lineman or receiver or DB, and he knows, okay, I can give you this one because I still got 3 of the guys that I want left. I see you want player X. Either I don't want him, or I have a similar rating on someone that's going to fall or has fallen. I could see them going like that, Ivan. It's like, okay, we have at least 3 offensive linemen that we can see fall into our spot in the third, right? So I know one, we're going to trade back. Maybe we're going to get another third rounder. So we're for sure we're going to get him. But at least now we can have another bite at the apple at this position. I'm not even going to say what position it is because I don't know. It's probably going to depend on the players that are available at that position. But we know what a lot of values in this draft is: lineman, receiver, DB. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's more like that, how they're going to try to evaluate where they go. Because you're right. Listen, if you have a similar grade, you may as well get another pick. You know what I'm saying? Like if you need they need bodies. You know what I'm saying? And they need to find out if these bodies are valuable and are they going to be there when this team kind of starts to turn the corner or not. So I would say they definitely would probably trade back if given the opportunity if they think they can get the good value. But I also think they're going to put equity on getting good value players, to be honest with you. Trying to get some people that can really kind of become a part of this culture that they're trying to change it to, that you and Byron Pringle are trying to destroy and link to Ray McDonald.
It's just a situation. Like you were expecting a player to be one thing, and he's not that thing. And it just, to me, it was just like, hey, it reminded me of a bad time, of another bad signing or a possible bad signing in a Byron Pringle. But no, he is not a woman beater. He's not Ray McDonald.
Ivan, traffic offense, physical assault, same thing.
Okay, regardless of what
I'm just playing. We don't have to re-adjudicate this. We don't have to re-adjudicate.
All right, let's go back. All right, but let's go for the draft. One real quick question before we have to go to break, because we got Brad Squires coming up talking White Sox. Where do you feel Justin Fields is going to be come week 1? Like, how comfortable do you think he's going to be with this, after the draft, adding players, even post June 1st cuts, adding players? Do you think Justin's going to be like, all right, you know what? I feel comfortable with not only my coaches, but I'm feel comfortable with the guys around me. Is he going to feel? Is there going to be issues, or is there going to be some type of a learning period,
yes, there's going to be a grace period.
Yes,
because he's going to have to come out, see this offense work for him, have this offense memorized. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're also Luke Getsy. We're acting like Luke Getsy has really done this at the professional level. I know he did it for a year in college, but in the NFL. So we're looking at it as Matt Eberflus is a rookie head coach. So it's just not a grace period for Justin. It's a grace period for all these guys learn new positions. Only thing is Justin's been at it for a year and a half. I think one of the things that will benefit Justin is there's no question. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, am I stepping on Andy's toes? You know what I'm saying? Like, should I stand up and say something? No, it's his team. You know what I'm saying? And then once it flips over, you still want to kind of act like this guy has some say to a degree, even though it's your team. I think being the unsaid leader, you know what I'm saying, that's a benefit, but still, you're going through your first training camp as the head guy, getting all the reps in a new offense. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the best receivers room, so there's going to be a growth period. Now, I could be wrong, and he could hit the ground running, but I would say this, even if he hit the ground running, there's still going to be bops and bips, you know what I'm saying, to where teams are going to adjust to him, and he's going to have to make adjustments along with the coaching staff. That's what I would surmise, or this is what I would think. But, I mean, we'll see. By the game 11, we should have a good idea of how well he kind of knows this offense, you know what I'm saying, or how well they're calling plays on this offense. Because, again, and I'm with it. Everything right now is peachy keen, but, man, reality's going to hit, and ain't nobody done these jobs before, to be honest with you.
So don't cut him after a couple of voluntary mini camp interceptions. Okay.
No,
because it's like, I hate the sky is falling right now when it's a new regime that we haven't seen, but hopefully, like I said, we knock this draft out of the ballpark. Ken, thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate it. We'll see what we got Friday. What do you got coming up on the show on Under Center?
We drop tomorrow after the press conference, and then I don't even know what the draft schedule is going to be yet. I just asked the other day. Who knows how crazy that's going to be? Just excited, man. This is one of the better parts of the year for a football fan. You know what I'm saying? Even if you only have 6 draft picks, this is one of those fun parts. So I'm looking forward to a little bit of draft talk, man, and I'll check you guys out Friday.
All right, appreciate you, Ken. We'll see you on Friday. Guys, that was Ken Davis from the Under Center podcast. All right, we're going to have to take a quick break. And then on the other side of the break, me and Jason are going to be talking to Brad Squires from the On Tap Sportsnet, talking about these White Sox and the mounting injuries. Tony La Russa and his, I don't know what the hell is going on over there with Big Tone. The Villagers are at the gates again with Tony La Russa, but we'll see what's going on. We'll ask Brad what's up with his White Sox coming up after the break. You're watching Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In 10 innings Sunday, the Twins beat the White Sox 6-4. Byron Buxton's second home run, lifting the Twins to the victory. It was his second of the game. He hit a 2-run blast in the 7th to tie the game at 3-3. Tim Anderson and Danny Mendick homered for Chicago. The Sox led at 3-1 in the 7th. They're on their longest losing skid since 2019. They've scored just 15 runs in the 7 straight losses. A day after pounding the Pirates 21-0 at Wrigley Field, Pittsburgh bounced back with a 4-3 win over the Cubs Sunday. The Pirates took 3 of 4 in the series.
Bucks go the other direction with Giannis trying to get into the front court, left wing, three-pointer on the way. It's his first of the postseason.
The call on the Bucks Radio Network, 119-95 to win over the Bulls on Sunday. Milwaukee takes a 3-1 lead in the best of 7. Milwaukee can close things out at home this Wednesday night. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
It's Macy's Friends and Family with an extra 30% off special gifts from top designers just in time for Mother's Day when you use your coupon or Macy's card. And take 15% off fragrances, skincare, makeup, and more great gift ideas. Going on now at Macy's. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macy's.com/Star Rewards. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance
This is
Company
your sign for
Insurance
details.
Illinois.
Welcome back to Sports Zone Chicago. Real quick before we get to Brad, Jason went ahead and found a picture of his baby. Was that the day, Jason? Was that the day of that joyride that you had?
That was not the day of the pursuit, but that's me back in the early 90s. That's
He looked smooth.
Oh man, I had hair. I think everybody had one of them ball shirts. So that's me, boy, back in the early 90s, man. Wasn't no 5-0 stopping me. Got time to me. Police chased my ass, man. You know.
Well, you and Byron Pringle with this need for speed. But, anyway, we're gonna go ahead and bring in our next guest, guys. He's from the On Tap Sportsnet. You can find him on Twitter at BuzzOnTap. Let's welcome Brad Squires to the show. Brad, welcome to the show. We were talking about traffic situations earlier. And led a joyride from Dalton to Chicago, Jay?
From Dalton to Chatham, baby. That was a good 15 miles.
There you go, man. I love it. Dalton's right next to the BI. I'm from the BI, so we're right
there. You go.
I get it.
Well, you know, let's go ahead and jump right into to this thing. Your White Sox, and me obviously not being a Sox fan, I'm watching from afar. It's early, and I understand frustration. Is it going a little too far? Should Sox fans just be patient? Are you worried? Where are you at right now with the White Sox?
I mean, I don't like what's happened, but I mean, it's a 162 game season, you know? So I'm trying not to overreact too much. As you guys know, I live on Twitter. That is my social media platform of choice. I don't really have anything else. So you're seeing all the White Sox Twitter kind of freak out here and there, which is just, it's typical really. But I could definitely see why anger exists in this space right now. And I think anybody be ignorant not to see that. But the reason I'm not overreacting is because it's a long season filled with ups and downs. Now, if you were to go back to post All-Star break up until this point, then yeah, that sucks because you're under 500. You know, Sox are under 500 in that span. which is not a good team, right? I mean, if you're under 500, you're not making the playoffs. It's in the NBA. So, it's just kind of it's just in a weird spot right now. Underperformance from a lot of players, injuries. Once again, Jerry Reinsdorf own team always being hurt. Doesn't matter if it's the Bulls or the Sox. We always seems to find ourselves there. And it's just, it's been hard to watch. I think that's the biggest thing. It's been hard to watch. So the daily typical fan who consumes this product, if you had a bad day at work, they're piling on with the bad time. So, someone's got to be attacked here. So they're going to point fingers at either Rick Hahn or Tony La Russa. So I'm not going to freak out yet. A lot of games left, but I don't like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brad. And I guess my major concern right now are the injuries, because this has consistently been happening the last 3 years or so. Especially when you're talking about Eloy and Luis Robert and Moncada. Those are three of your core players. And now for 3 seasons in a row, we're seeing them miss significant time in a season. Is this something that we need to look at the training and strength and conditioning department of the White Sox? Because I don't remember when we had Herb Schneider that all this was going on, bud.
Yeah, I don't know, because I thought the same thing about the Bulls, man. And I hate to relate to sports, but I have to here. I mean, whole new training staff injuries happen. They're freak things. Maybe it's bad luck. Maybe it's not them taking care of their bodies the right way. I don't know. If that does fall on the training staff, then it falls on them. As far as Luis Robert and Eloy go, that's been really horrible. The last couple of years with them having to deal with the injuries they've dealt with. I'm pretty much out on Eloy ever reaching his full potential if he keeps getting hurt. I don't know if I'll ever see the best of him, which really sucks. I still have that faith in Luis Robert for sure. Moncada's been hurt here and there, but if you go and you look, I mean, the dude does play. So it's hit or miss. He's missed some really important stretches. He missed some not important stretches. Of course, you want him in there for 162. It ain't going to happen. 150, 145, something like that. That's probably what he'll, get this year. Maybe like 130 from him or something like that. But, I don't know. It's those two are the biggest injury concerns for me in Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez. I think if Luis Robert stays healthy, you have an MVP candidate. And that's huge in the game of baseball. That's huge for the South Side. You know what he brings. You see it offensively. You typically see it offensively outside of, how he's kind of started the year. He's kind of reverting back to remember when he came up, started off pretty hot, and then that ice streak came, and then he found it again. But then he got hurt. So, again, it's so hard to pinpoint what the problem. It's injuries, it's managing, it's roster construction. I mean, it's hard across the board right now.
Yeah, I agree with Luis Robert. If he could reach his potential, you're talking about a generational type of a player.
Yes.
And for me, even being a Cubs fan, I want to watch that. I want to see a Mike Trout, play just show up to a game just to watch him play. That's something that you can appreciate as a baseball fan.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. Yeah.
Let's talk about a little bit about analytics and Tony La Russa. Jason and Shawn and pretty much the entire White Sox nation was going off watching Leroy Garcia bat third. And for context, Leroy Garcia against Zach Plesac is what 380 something lifetime.
Yeah, he has a really good batting average off him.
Really good batting average.
Yeah.
The thing is that he's struggling this year, struggling this year when Tony made the decision. The Villagers are at the gates, like I said before. How do you feel about Tony? Does Tony survive this year if it gets any worse, or if he continues to make this decision?
As far as the Lurie Garcia thing, we'll start with that first. So our podcast, Sox on Tap, is a no Lurie Garcia slander zone. So we don't slander Lurie Garcia because we appreciate Lurie Garcia for what he is. This guy should not be playing every day. We all know that. He is a great utility player, though. He's been I wouldn't say great, but he is a serviceable utility player that can come and play when you need him to. Again, Rick Hahn cannot stop Eloy Jimenez, AJ Pollock, Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada getting injured. Okay, we can't. Can't stop those things. So we need to keep that in mind for one hot moment. Okay, you can't stop those things. When it comes down to depth at that point, when you lose all those guys, does depth really matter? Because you're not going to be signing guys that can come and play for a couple $1 million a year at a high level every day. You're going to be signing guys like Lurie Garcia who can come and plug and play. As far as Tony La Russa putting him second, third in the lineup and giving him these opportunities, there was a real fun tidbit that the guys had on Sox on Tap, because I've been kind of bouncing in and out of there with the Bulls still going on. It's just a lot to do both at one time. But, they had said, it's like Tony's trolling at this point because he's seeing all this stuff on Twitter. He's seeing don't play Luis Garcia. Now, they will never admit to that. But if he did admit to that, be like, oh, I just wanted to piss off the fan base, like, get the go. Just go. Because this is not the time to be experimenting or doing controversial things that don't need to be done. Okay. Like that does not need to be done. Luis Garcia can bat in the bottom of the lineup. All right. And we'll be fine with it. Just put him in the bottom of the lineup. 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. I don't know why he batted him third. Like you and I talked about, the numbers against Plesac are decent, dude, but you just said you wouldn't do it. Jay, I know you wouldn't do it. And I know I wouldn't do it. I don't know if there's a trust factor there that we're just not aware of as a fan base. I don't know, but it was very, very puzzling.
Yeah, once again, you're watching Shawn and Maya. Without Shawn and Maya, it's Jason and I in this morning. And our guy, Blood's on Tap, Brad Squires with Blood on Tap. We're talking some White Sox baseball. And I want to stay on La Russa a little bit because here was my thing. When La Russa was brought in, a lot of what was selling is that he's going to manage the bullpen better. He's going to manage the pitching staff better. To this point, I've seen 1 year, a playoff series, and a few games of a second season. I don't know if that's his strength. That may have been his strength in his prime, but I think the game has changed. He's got the same love affair with Aaron Bummer that he's got with Luis Garcia. What are your thoughts on Tony's moves with handling this pitching staff?
I actually think he hasn't done too bad with the bullpen. I think the bullpen's kind of let him down. And, Bummer got paid, man. You're not going to just sit him, and that's, again, that comes to my mind immediately as a roster construction type thing. Where we have a very expensive bullpen. And for the people that are listening, when I say we, I mean the White Sox. Calm down. I don't work for them. But, it's just, I look at it that way, and he is trying to get the most out of the talent that has been seen there before. In these positions like Aaron Bummer, I mean, I'm sorry, I can swear on here. 2020, Matt Foster. You remember Matt Foster in 2020? Yeah. He was a beast. And then people were excited when La Russa went to him when he was healthy a little bit there in 2021, and then it went all downhill from there, right? So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the pitching staff, but I'll tell you what, the bullpen being as expensive as it is and us having to deal with Liam Hendricks and not having his stuff together, tipping pitches, Bummer not where he should be. Graveman looked really good to start everything off. He had a rough go at it. What was that, 2 days ago, I think? He had a rough go at it. So I don't know. I don't think he's been doing too terrible at that. I would honestly, I'd say the worst part I've seen out of La Russa this year is having your team up, getting them ready to go, and lineup construction. You need to put guys, and I want Andrew Vaughn having more at bats. I do not want him being a platoon player. This guy's hitting 300, guys. This is second year. People wanted to go nuts last year. Oh, I thought he was some high end prospect and he should be able to hit the lights out of the ball. Well, wait. He barely got any single A experience because COVID derailed him in the minor leagues. He was plug and play, guys. You don't see that a lot in the MLB. So that's kind of something there. So those are my gripes against La Russa. And, of course, going back to if he was actually trolling or I don't know what he was trying to do, proving a point, then I would be really mad at him. But as of right now, those are my big complaints on TLR is not having the team ready in lineup construction. And I blame Rick Hahn a lot for the starting pitching staff, though. I will tell you that.
So let me ask you this then real quick before Ivan jumps right back in. Andrew Vaughn, because you brought him up.
Yeah.
Eloy's injury, okay? Eloy, you want to keep messing around, diving in nets and all this stuff. Andrew Vaughn is not going to get those at-bats. Andrew Vaughn is definitely a better defensive left fielder. You said you've given up hope on Eloy reaching his full potential. I think I'm right there with you. Because
I don't want to commit to it yet. Does that make sense? I don't want to commit to it and throw a stupid hot take out there just so we can people on a radio show throwing hot takes to see what sticks. I don't want to do that. I just want to. What I mean by that is oh my God, I don't think I'm gonna see it. I don't think because every time you have a start to a season or hype in front of a season, he's not there. He's gone, and it's dude, how long can you rely on this guy to be, he adds 40 home runs, well, we're probably going to get, what do you think? Maybe 15, maybe. Right. If he's out for 6 to 8 weeks, well, let's say 8 weeks. Hamstring injuries for a big guy like that are not easy to come back from. You and I both know this. Yes. So what would you say, July 20th?
I'm going to say he's coming back. I'm going to say he's going to come back around the 4th of July.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm going to say maybe the 4th of July because this is April the 25th, so May, June. Yeah, I'll say he's going to come back before the 4th of July. I'm going to say he's going to get – I think he may get 18 to 20 home runs.
That's fair.
But here's my thing. I think if we're going to see him reach his full potential, he's got to accept it, and the White Sox just have to demand it. Eloy, you're a damn DH, period. That's all you got to do.
I love what you said there. I mean, you know what's actually kind of crazy, too, is I agree with everything you say, but ain't it a son of a bitch that, like, he didn't get hurt in the field? He got hurt running first base. So it's just kind of like, what do you say? It's like, oh, you've hurt yourself a couple times in the field, but this time you really didn't. But we're still going to DH you anyway because, no offense, homie, you're kind of made of glass. So we can't we need you in the batter's box. We don't need to take any unnecessary risks with you. If your bat possesses this much power, game-changing power, a game-changing eye, we need you, period. So you're just going to have to do the bare minimum. You're just going to have to hit it. That's what we need you to do. Just do that. So, and please don't hurt yourself running the first base.
Right.
You know, that's it.
And that was a like you said, it was a freak injury, right? This one was like, oh, it's not on Eloy, and it breaks everybody's heart. But the previous injury is kind of on Eloy.
Yeah,
hanging on the wall. You've fallen into nets, not calling the ball.
I mean, running full speed into a wall back in 2019, or what was that? 2019 when he ran full speed into the wall. I mean, right. It's just those things can't happen, man. You're in a window here. This window is not huge. Now, if you had like pitching prospects like galore, then okay, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Because like at least you can kind of recycle if you don't want to pay somebody, because we know we've never handed out a $100 million contract. You know, you have Giolito, Cease, and Kopech pitching crazy out of their minds, and Giolito just came back from hurting himself, and he pitched a really good game. You know, this is your window of where you have some guys when Lynn gets back that your starting rotation looks decent, okay enough to go forward, and if the bullpen wakes up. But if you don't have offense, guys, 15 runs during this losing streak. They have scored 15 runs. You know how much they've let up? 45. In this losing 45 to 15, that's unacceptable. I don't care who the manager is. You can talk Hall of Fame. You can blame them all you want. That's on some of the players there. You need to put the bat on the ball. You need to make something happen. And outside of a select few in this lineup, no one's doing
it. And you also have to catch the ball and throw the ball correctly. That's why you give it up 45 runs. And I'll just say this one last comment about Eloy, and we can go on to a different subject. But, you know, I still blame him for this injury. I blame him for this injury because, Brad, everybody knows starting in Pee Wee League, when you're sprinting the first base to beat out a play, you hit the front of the bag, period. You don't step on the middle of the bag. You definitely don't step on the end of the bag like he did. You hit the front of the base. That's the quickest way to get there. Sometimes your foot may slip off if it's a rainy day. Trust me, I've injured myself base running, so I know it. But I've never run damn near complete, almost missed the base.
A lot of fundamentals are missing. And like you said with the defense, I mean, that's another thing I guess you can kind of get on TLR for. Again, he can't field, but you got to do something here. You know, to take this off day today, it's way too early to start freaking out about everything. But, you know, take this off day today. There's not going to be any off day here, okay? We're traveling back home, film breakdown. How do we improve this and go from there? Because if they don't, and this continues on, that window was never even open. It was cracked. And that's a major issue for the organization itself and the fans that had, sat through this rebuild. I mean, again, I wouldn't be saying this right now if they ended off last season on a great note, but you and I both know they didn't do that. They, again, under 500, limped into the postseason. It felt like, again, it just wasn't what we thought it was going to be. And here we are,
My question about Tim and his defense, very concerned with what I've seen so far this year. He's never been the strongest defensive shortstop. Last year, he had a really good year defensive-wise, and I was like, okay, he's turned the corner defensively. But he's come out this season and basically screwed the pooch all over the place. do you keep Tim Anderson at shortstop, or do you consider moving him to second base and getting from somewhere shortstop, because I think you got enough offense, but just a really defensive lockdown shortstop. The guy who just played with the Pirates against the Cubs. Josh Harrison. Do you move Josh over to short when he comes back?
No, not yet. Now, obviously, if it continues on, then maybe we need to revisit that conversation. But like you said, last year and even the year prior, Tim Anderson, he made some blunders in the field, but last year he was really damn good. I don't know if Tim is just trying to do too much right now. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think he'll clean it up. Tim he's my favorite White Sox by a mile away.
Mine too.
Competitive, represents the city well. And you know what? He tries to be the best player that he possibly can be, whether or not it's in the box or it's in the field. So I think that he'll rebound from these 6 early errors on in the season here, and it'll get better. I'm not ready to move him yet. I mean, if 2020 COVID didn't happen, I mean, he's looking at an all-star year, and in 2021 he was an all-star. So there's a reason for that. I think that, maybe early season jitters, starting off kind of behind because he missed the first 2 games of the year as well, could have probably maybe contributed to that a little bit. I could be finding excuses, but I'd rather leave him at shortstop for the time being.
Okay. Something positive to really kind of talk on. Your early impressions of Jake Burger at third base.
Yeah, I love Jake Burger. So really awesome. We've had the opportunity a couple times to have Jake Burger on Sox on Tap. He has, we've been talking with him since 2017, 2016, or probably 2017. Consistently since he got into the White Sox organization. I'm super biased to this because we've talked to him and have a relationship with him. He's a great kid. He's a good player. The bat will wake up eventually here. He's a first-round pick for a reason, and I felt like Jake Burger's done really good at third base in the absence of Yohan Moncada. I think he's very good defensively. I mean, in the beginning of the season when the White Sox started, what was it, a 6-2 or 6-3 or something like that? A lot of people were calling for Moncada to move to second. Jay, they were calling for Moncada to move a second, leave Jake Burger at third. That's what they were saying. I don't really know if I would do that because Moncada, that's where a lot of his value comes from, is him defensively. But I really like Jake Burger, and I'm glad to see that he has played real well this year. And I'm glad to see him actually getting an opportunity to play every day right now. So I like what I see out of him for the most part.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, here's a young man who faced some really tough injuries in back-to-back seasons, which definitely slowed down his progression. And I think he's played defensively a really solid third base, really solid over there with the glove. I was not expecting that. It's really had some really hard hits. He's got to make that adjustment now. I think Shawn made a great point. He and I were going at it on our Sports Zone text kind of chain. I was like, Burger is impressive, Shawn. Is Moncada going to be that person that we trade to get that front line starter? He's like, okay, remember there was your mean Mercedes who had a hell of an April last year, Jason. Calm down. So, we'll see. But, I think he's giving them what they need. And I guess my question to you is, what do you do with him once Moncada comes back?
Yeah, that's hard. But, I mean, everybody and their mother is hurt, so he'll stay on the roster. So, I mean, that's, for the time being, he's going to be here. And rightfully so too. So this was a conversation that we were having on Sox on Tap about a week from Sunday. Yeah, it was a week ago on Sunday. We were talking about Jake Burger, Tony and I, and about what do you do when Moncada comes back again. This is before everybody and their mother got hurt. So, he was like, how do you get rid of this guy? He's playing a good third base. He was swinging the bat real well at the time. I guess he's got options, right? So that's the thing here. You can send them down without having to pay for it. If they do get healthy and want to keep a guy like Gavin Sheets up, because Gavin Sheets is a left-handed power bat who's kind of made, decent. He's done good with his opportunity this year. Not a ton of at-bats, but he's done good with the ones that he's had for the most part. I don't know what happens to him. I mean, you have guys that can probably go away. And go back down like Adam Hosley or whatever. He can probably go back down or something like that. But yeah, I would like to see him stick around, but I'd also like to see him get better. And he doesn't get better if he doesn't get consistent at bats. He's just sitting in a dugout if Moncada comes back. So who knows? Maybe he'll get a little bit of run at second base. We saw that happen with him in the minors. He got some run at second base, so maybe he'll get some there on a Josh Harrison once he's ready, a day off for him or something like that. So, yeah, the White Sox, that's a good problem to have. So, yeah, we'll turn this into a positive. It's a good problem to have because they have talent, right? It's just trying to find where they fit.
Mm-hmm. Brad, thank you for joining us, man. Like I said, this White Sox team, they have so much talent. I think the part of the reason why White Sox fans are kind of in a little bit of a tizzy, if you will, is because they have so much high expectations for them. We expect them here to be World Series contenders, and I don't think, fans expect anything less. I can understand the frustration, but Brad, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate your thoughts and opinions. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you and your work online.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate being on, guys. As always, love to be on when I can, for sure. You can find me at Buzz on Tap on Twitter, on Tap Sportsnet on Twitter. And on Wednesday night, don't miss it. We will be doing a Bulls on Tap live. We post game as we do after every single game. I'll be on the Bulls show on Wednesday, praying to God that I'm not talking about a loss. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think we're all out there. I'm afraid the Bulls are going to get slapped. I'm afraid it's going to be a wrap.
I was in a box last night, man. In my first time in my life, I was in a suite at the United Center, and I'm so happy and over the moon. And Zach comes out, 12.6 assists in the first quarter, and I'm telling everybody, oh man, y'all today, yeah, it's a Zach game today. And then it didn't happen. And then the beers started to happen, and then I got sad, and it was time to go home. So
that sounds about right. Brad, thank you for joining us, man. We'll catch you later.
All right, take care, guys.
All right. Guys, that was Brad Squires from the On Tap Sportsnet. Catch him on Buzz on Tap. Yeah, great stuff. Hopefully, the Bulls won't make us drink our sorrows away. Hopefully, there's one more game. The White Sox play the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday. That's opportunity to get on right back on track. 3 in a row. It's a team it's a divisional game, divisional series. They're not as great as as the World Series Royals. They're rebuilding as well too. Maybe you could win a series and get things right. But we'll see. Injuries are the biggest bugaboo for the White Sox right now, and it's hard to get over those injuries.
Well, you got Dallas Keuchel going in the first game, so
maybe you get the next two.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, oh Lord, Dallas Keuchel. So we're pitching him on Tuesday. So, but you got to take at least 2 out of these 3 from the Kansas City Royals, man. If you can't beat the Royals 2 out of 3, and I trust me, I am definitely taking into consideration that the injuries and not having you're operating basically at 65% right now, because of all these injuries to your key players. But it's the Royals, man. It's Royals. You've got to beat the Royals. And you got your leaders. You have Jose. You have Tim. Your leaders are there. Well, your leaders need to lead. And this is a tough situation. It's early. It's a early tough part of the year. You would expect your leaders to lead and get this thing going. Now with Tony, I don't know. I don't. It's just so inconsistent. It's inconsistent. I feel like certain days it's like, oh, there's Tony La Russa. And then other days it's like, what the fuck is Tony La Russa doing? You know what I mean? It's like, what is going on with this White Sox team? I get it, but we'll see what happens. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to finish things up here. Me and Jason filling in for Shawn and Maya in the morning. It's been a fun ride so far. We're almost to the end of it. Make sure you stay here. You're watching Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In 10 innings Sunday, the Twins beat the White Sox 6-4. Byron Buxton, second home run, lifting the Twins to the victory. It was his second of the game. He hit a 2-run blast in the 7th to tie the game at 3-3. Tim Anderson and Danny Mendick homered for Chicago. The Sox led at 3-1 in the 7th. They're on their longest losing skid since 2019. They've scored just 15 runs in the 7 straight losses. A day after pounding the Pirates 21-0 at Wrigley Field, Pittsburgh bounced back with a 4-3 win over the Cubs Sunday. The Pirates took 3 of 4 in the series.
Bucks go the other direction with Giannis trying to get into the front court, left wing. 3-pointer on the way. It's his first of the postseason.
The call on the Bucks Radio Network, 119-95, the win over the Bulls on Sunday. Milwaukee takes a 3-1 lead in the best of 7. Milwaukee can close things out at home this Wednesday night. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
It's Macy's Friends and Family with an extra 30% off special gifts from top designers just in time for Mother's Day when you use your coupon or Macy's card. And take 15% off fragrances, skincare, makeup, and more great gift ideas. Going on now at Macy's. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance.
This is your sign for details.
Jamar, with you've been on the brink before. How do you make sure guys don't look at it as doom and gloom for Game 5 and kind of understand that, as you always say, as long as there's time, as long as there's more games, there's still that chance? How do you kind of get that mentality to these guys, especially the ones that haven't been there?
Just stay positive. First and foremost, you can't show panic, especially, in veteran guys, you can't show panic. You got to understand that, where there's a will, there's a way. Still got an opportunity. All it takes is one game at a time, and we still have an opportunity. Got a couple days before we play again, kind of just regroup mentally, emotionally, physically, and just look forward to the challenge.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That was DeMar DeRozan. A lot of cliches there, Jason. A lot of yep, yeah, we got one game at a time. a lot of basic deflection answers for a DeMar DeRozan. And what do you expect him to say? I'm teasing now, but it's like, yeah, I'm happy that you're saying that the veterans need to show this and try to show some, I guess some fortitude in what's happening. You know what I'm saying? You're facing down elimination. You're a team. You're supposed to be a leader on the team. I understand that, but DeMar, you could be real a little bit. You could be real a little bit. I could do without all the cliches. Like, you could just say, "Look, man, we got one way to do it. Like, there's only one. It's either we do it or we don't." DeMar, I get it, but yeah, a little too much cliches.
Yeah, just go ahead and say the sky is falling. Because the sky is falling. There are no more mistakes. Speaking of Sky, Chicago Sky are tipping off right now, their first preseason. So preseason game against the Dallas Wings. Yeah, they started out today. They tip off at 11:30. The world champion Chicago Sky are tipping off their preseason game right now at Wintrust Arena against the Dallas Wings. But whenever you start hearing cliches, is usually never good. So that's usually an indicator that things are not going well. We got to take this one game at a time, one quarter at a time, one play at a time. Yeah, you do, because you're in trouble right now. We'll see what happens with the Bulls. I think more than anything, this game will show how much heart this team has. Are you just going to go out there and mail it in? If you go out there and you get your butts kicked, but you're out there putting forth the effort, okay, cool, I get it. We all know that the Bucks are a more talented team here. What I want to see is some effort, and what I want to see is some adjustments made from this coaching staff. I don't want to see guys like Grayson Allen taking wide open shots, and I don't want to see us missing wide open shots. So I think a lot of that is also on the players, man. You got to hit your shot, man. You got to hit your shot. You have absolutely nothing to lose. There's no pressure on you. There never has been, because nobody was expecting you to win the series. So, you stunk it up at home 2 games in a row. That would infuriate me. That would embarrass me. I would have been embarrassed by that performance. And I hope they come to Milwaukee this week and at least force a Game 6. Again, I don't expect them to win the series. I predicted they were going to lose it in 5. So if my prediction comes true, they're going to lose this game this week, because that's about where I thought they were. But you still got to play the game, man. You still got to want to win and want to compete. So what I'm looking for is to see who wants to compete. Does Kobe White want to compete? That's what I want to know. Does he want to compete, or what is he doing? I think he's a young man who, when those trade rumors started, I think it affected his game. I really do. I think, he had a stretch of about 4 games where he was really good. And but for the most part, he's been not good this year. And, and I know Joseph is a big fan of him early in his career, saying how young he was and was hoping he was going to develop. I just haven't seen the development. I think he's, it seems as though he's hit his ceiling here with the Bulls. So he could be a guy that they try to move in the offseason. But, we'll see what tomorrow brings for the Bulls when they come up here to Milwaukee. And the game is, I think, Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. But, we'll see how well they can. It is Wednesday. Yeah, so we'll see how well they can compete, man. That's all I want to see.
Well, to me, looking at it is I'll put it in this perspective. Into the second quarter last game, about 2-3 minutes into the second quarter, your bench just scored their first points.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's not good. That's not good. And I understand your stars or your key players were carrying you, and that's a good thing. I mean, but sooner or later you're going to have to contribute. And a whole quarter into another quarter that you can't score points, that doesn't help us out. Kobe White, as streaky as he is, and I'm glad that you kind of highlighted him. I don't think he's here. I don't know if he's a part of this, a part of this ride moving forward because of how streaky he is. It's unreliable. Even plays no defense, turns the ball over consistently. And, he could go on a 7 in a row 3-point shooting streak, but he could also go 0 for 14. He could also go 1 for 17. It could be that bad. I don't know how Kobe stays with the Bulls moving forward. I just don't see it.
Well, I think also Io has pushed him out the way. Because Io is going to play that defense. He's going to play defense for you. Think about it. Io is just a rookie, but he's outplayed Kobe White. You see what I'm saying? He's just a rookie, so he's going to get better with more playing time and more coaching and more experience. And as his body continues to develop as well, I think Io has a much higher ceiling. Right.
And he's a scorer.
And he's a scorer. I think Io is a much better player than Kobe White. And I think Kobe White knows that. And, it's affected his game. So we'll see what happens, kind of going forward with the Bulls. It's just, I think a lot of the guys, they're kind of in a similar position to the Blackhawks. People are playing for their jobs. You're playing for your careers at this point. So there are some people who need to take some serious looks in the mirror on that Bulls roster and see how they want to, finish this season.
Moving forward, we got a little bit of time here left in the show. Let's talk about this one time, a little fun topic. Angel Hernandez, right? Angel Hernandez got his ass chewed out by Kyle Schwarber yesterday on a I don't know what. To me, it was a blown call. To him, I'm sure he has never called a bad call in his life. He's every pitch that he's called has been correct. Every out call that he's made has been the correct call. But Angel Hernandez got chewed out. How do you feel about these legacy umpires, right? These Joe West, Angel Hernandez, Laz Diaz, these guys that continuously, are at the forefront of umpiring in Major League Baseball. Some of the guys that get the biggest games, and they're the most inconsistent. They're like, I don't know whether it's biased because they're on TV so much or what, but I just feel like sooner or later somebody's gonna have to somebody has to check them or something.
So the problem I have with Major League Baseball and their umpires is these guys get to the major leagues, they're Major League Baseball umpires, they're full-time. So Major League Baseball does something different. They have what you call up and downers. Those are people who are AAA umpires, but they also come up and they do a significant amount of major leagues. But they're not vetted into like the MLB umpires union. So they're kind of up and down. They kind of like, you consider them almost like part-time employees. You don't get all the full benefits. And then you have these made guys who are on the MLB roster. And then you've got the crew chiefs, who are the Joe Wesses, the Angel Hernandez, some of these other guys. And, here's the play. Yeah, it's definitely a ball. It's definitely a ball. And, yeah, you definitely throw him out of the game. But, Angel, that's a horrible call. Here's my problem with it. These MLB umpires get there, and it's almost like they got a Supreme Court justice type deal where you get the job for life, no matter how horrible you are. Joe West, in the latter parts of his officiating career, he was bad, and he shouldn't have been there. Yeah, he broke the record last year at the White Sox game for most games umpired, and that was his only reason for sticking around. He wasn't sticking around because it was the love of the game or because he knew his skill set was still high. He just wanted the damn record. And MLB allowed him to do that, and I just think that's absolutely ridiculous because as a sports official myself, it's not about me. It's never been about me. I'm there to do a job which is to manage the game. It's not to be out there setting records. And I thought MLB did officiating as a whole a disservice by allowing Angel Hernandez to still be a Major League Baseball umpire, to allow Joe West to get away with the nonsense that he got away with for all those years. I just think it was a disservice in my personal opinion. I'm sorry.
And I agree. He made himself bigger than the game. Nobody gave a shit about Joe West was behind the plate for his guy for whatever, how was it, 1,000th or no, 10,000, some ridiculous amount, some number that doesn't matter. Some number that doesn't matter because you're a part of the game, yes, but you're not the game. Like that's how I feel like some of these umpires, almost as if they're like these guardians of the game that they like elevate themselves to in their mind. No, we protect the game, and to an extent, you protect the integrity of the game, but you're not the game, and you're not the gatekeepers to everything that's baseball. I feel like too many people, whether it be umpires or sports, right? They kind of take this, we're the guardian of the game, like non-players and non-people that aren't in, they take this mantle up that they're the guard. We're going to protect it. We're going to do this way. It's our way. I think that's kind of the same way that they have these umpires. Like they think that they're just God's gift and they could go ahead and do what they want. This is how it should be done. And nobody could argue with them.
Well, I think, we are there to protect the integrity of the sport. So I will agree that we're guardians in terms of that. But also, when you can no longer do that job effectively, there should also be protocols in place that have you move him to a supervisory position. Give him a desk position. Have him go out and mentor other umpires who are coming out and keep him on the roster. Transition some of these guys who have the knowledge and experience, but perhaps, their skills are diminishing. They can't do it like they used to be able to do it. Just transition them into another mode and let them go from there. But a lot of this is because the MLB umpires union is extremely strong, and I give them credit for that. They got a very strong union. They get a lot of stuff done. But when you're starting to hurt the game, like that call that you just showed, show that clip again when you get a chance, Ivan, because that was just really bad. Like everybody could see that was not a strike. And Angel Hernandez is the same guy who in a playoff game in New York City a few years back had 3 calls overturned in like a matter of 2 innings at first base because he was kicking the calls. And that was during a playoff game. So not only do they keep giving these guys good positions during the regular season, they'll give them, premier playoff games too. So we're going to run the clip again. This is what, happened yesterday. Look at this pitch, man. It's not even close.
So I paused it. I don't know if you got here. Let me blow this
I can
up
see it.
real quick. Oh, you can see it? Okay, I'll blow it up because I can't. So you see where it is. I mean, it's close, but the beef is not this pitch. It's the consistency in which he calls these pitch. Like it is. There's some that are ridiculous from Angel Hernandez, and the fact that it continues. And we all know Kyle Schwarber. He might not have been Babe Ruth, but Kyle Schwarber had a pretty damn good eye. Like one of the better hitting eyes in baseball. I mean, I tend to I tend to agree with the player just because I'm a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be overly dramatic or just one-sided, but this is you, Jason. You're an umpire. You're a referee. You're an official, and you're telling us that this has been egregious. It's consistent, and he just something needs to be done.
He's consistently bad. He consistently misses calls. That's a problem, man. There was an NFL referee about 3 years ago when I was still working at Referee Magazine. And the guy basically got let go in the middle of the season because they said he was just missing too many calls. So, I mean, you can hold us accountable. We should be held accountable, especially on this level. We're not talking about youth referees. We're talking about on the professional level. There are a lot of people trying to get those jobs. So you have people in the pipeline to replace an Angel Hernandez. They're just not like MLB doesn't have people to choose from. You have plenty of people to choose from. But Angel is consistently allowed to do this stuff, even though he sued Major League Baseball for discrimination when he didn't get one of the crew chief positions a few years ago. He actually sued him. So, I mean, this guy, it's just his personality. And I'm not against umpires having personalities or NFL referees. I mean, everybody knows Ed Hockley, even though he's been retired a few years now. We're like, oh, Ed with the biceps. Yeah, that's our guy. In Major League Baseball, umpires have always, their personality has always been a part of the sport. But damn, man, you got to also know what you're doing. You got to be good at your job. And I just feel like Angel has been allowed to ruin games. Players don't like him. Managers don't like him. Fans don't like him. He's a distraction from the game because wherever you go, whatever stadium, when they announce the umpires, when people see it's Angel Hernandez, especially if he's behind the plate, people are like, oh, this is going to be an inconsistent game here.
Yeah, and you CB Buckner is a guy. And it's not all of them. It's not all of them. I'm not saying that, but the ones that are consistently highlighted, egregious. Let's go ahead and wrap things up with we'll talk about the Bulls. We'll talk about the future. I know we talked with Brad a little bit there at the tail end of it. I'm whether it be the end of the season come Wednesday or not, I'm excited about what the future holds with the Chicago Bulls team. I think the front office I think they're doing the right job. I think they're the right guys for the job. I think they're going to, with the mentality that they have, because I mentioned earlier, next season needs to be a next step. It can't be, we're in this happened and something. No, you have to take a next step. And I think that next step starts with free agents. If you bring back Zach, okay, but who are you bringing in to help Zach, to help DeMar? If Vooch stays, to help Vooch. There's a lot of things that need to transpire, come this offseason. And I'm down because of how this series is going, but I'm optimistic about what's going to happen moving forward with the Bulls because of the leadership that they have in place.
I trust this leadership. I agree with you 100%. I trust our GM. I think they see the problems and they're going to address them just like they did last year. And again, I want everybody to understand they addressed the issue in the offseason last year. They knew they needed a point guard. They went out and got him. They got one of the best ones. Unfortunately, he got injured. I can't blame them for that. I know they at least are competent enough to understand this is a problem we need to fix. They know they need another big. They know that. Maybe two. But they know they need at least one big. I expect them to address that. The problem with the NBA right is that it's kind of like the opposite of football, Ivan. So, like in football, you can rebuild your team through the draft. You can get a guy in the third, fourth round in football who's going to still be an impact player. Basketball has changed. It's not like that anymore. It's usually once you get past the lottery picks, it's almost a crapshoot, which is why we were all so shocked last year when Io dropped to the second round and was still there, and the Bulls picked him up, and we see how well he's done. The NBA is different, man. The NBA, when I was growing up, man, they had 5-6 rounds. 5-6 rounds. I remember that. No, they got 2. And mostly the second-round picks don't even have an impact. So basketball has changed. I don't think you're going to get the help you need in the draft for the Bulls. They're going to have to address it through free agency, or you're going to have to get a player to develop to fill that role. And currently, you just don't have anybody on the roster that can fill that role as a big that you can even develop. So you're going to have to get it. So you're either going to have to make a trade, which is the way I think they're going to actually go. I don't think they're going to go free agent route. I think they're going to do a package deal. And I liked what our guy was saying earlier when Adam said it. A package deal with Pat Williams and Kobe may be what it takes. And that's going to hurt because I think Pat Williams is going to be a phenomenal player. I'd love to see them keep him around, but
he had his best game.
He
had his best game last game.
Yeah, but in order to get, you got to give, and that's the problem. It's going to hurt. You can't trade Kobe White for somebody. I think you're going to get somebody back.
Okay, well, here's a question for that. Is there somebody you see right now that is worth Pat Will and Kobe White? Like, is there somebody that you think right now that an athletic big, that come in and just do a bunch for you? Is it a Jokic? Can they go trade for a Jokic? That seems to be a theme in some of these, these rumor mills that I keep seeing and hearing about. Like, who can they get for those two guys?
That's a real good question. If I can get Joker, I'm going to take him. But I think in order to get Joker, you got to give up Zach. And I'll be real with you. I'd do that deal in a heartbeat. I'd do that deal in a heartbeat, Ivan, because you can get guards everywhere. To get you a big to fill that role, they don't come around that often. So, yeah, I'm definitely making that deal, even though I'm going to have to probably give up Zach in order to do it. There's a guy that my cousin has talked about. He's on Sacramento. Is it Harrison Barnes that Lance wants? It's a guy on Sacramento.
Harrison Barnes, who used to play for Golden State. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Harrison Barnes could be because he's 6'8", 220. I think he could be an interesting add if you're looking to add someone via a trade. I just think he could be a real nice pickup for the Bulls. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what they try to do here in the offseason. But I think they're going to address it via a trade because, again, I don't think you're going to draft somebody in that role who can really give you the impact that you need. And I don't know if they want to do that free agent thing because they like being flexible with the money, and you don't want to put yourself into a bad corner. But I could definitely see signing Zach to a max deal and then trading him and getting Joker.
I don't hate it. There's things are going to, like I said, if they would have got swept, it would have been no doubt. If they win, if they get to game 6, I still think you're going to make these moves, these tough moves. And I mentioned before, there's going to be some shakeup. Either there's going to be some fans that don't like it. There's going to be some fans that are, all for it. And then there's going to be people that are, the in the middle people. And I just feel like you said, you want to put your team over the top. That's a decision that's going to be made. Now, do I want it to include Pat Will? No. But if it's Zach and you could go ahead and somehow just make sure P. Will is protected and not the guy one of the players that is going to Sacramento or wherever that they're going to go to Denver or wherever. I'm cool with that. I like P. Will. I think he's going to be that dude, man. I think he's going to be really, really, really good in this league. One of the faces of the league, possibly in the future.
I agree. I like the young man's potential. Lance had liked it when they drafted him last year. Unfortunately, the young man got hurt. This is a significant part of the season this year. But, from what I've seen with him in the short time this year, I've been impressed with him. I've been impressed with the guy. I like him. I want to keep him. Again, I would definitely trade Zach before I traded Pat Williams. And I don't know if I would have said that last year, but I would definitely say it this year. And I think more people are getting more comfortable with the idea of trading Zach because he doesn't play defense. And we all see it. Like, you can't hide that.
Right. He, like I said, he tries, but there's no commitment. There's no commitment. It's just too wishy-washy on defense. And then, like we had mentioned before, injuries. I like Zach. I think Zach's going to be a great player. He's a good player. He's going to continue to grow and be a great player eventually. But we're trying to win, man. Like it's the name of the game. It's a business. Bulls are trying to win. They haven't won. They haven't been. They sniffed it with Derrick Rose, but I don't think they're trying to just flirt with it now. I think they're really, really trying to go. AK has a plan. Mark Eversley has a plan. Like I said, I just trust the front office. I trust the leadership that they put up there now. Let's see. Hopefully the Bulls get a win and prolong this, but it is grim.
It's almost been 25 years since they won a championship. It's almost been 25 years. So I mean, that's a generation. There's a generation of Bulls fans that have not seen that. They know about the glory days. Hell, we all watched the ESPN series, so they know about it. Oh man, that must have been an incredible time to be around. Yes, it was. I want them to be able to experience it as well. Jesus, man, 25 years.
Right, there's a 25-year-old right now in Chicago that's just watched the worst basketball you can imagine from the Bulls post Michael Jordan. And like I mentioned before, the names: Curry, Pfizer, Ron Mercer. The list goes on. Hoiberg. The list goes on. So hopefully this is the turn of the tide. The Bulls are going to go ahead and make some major moves come this offseason. But first things first, let's hopefully they could get a win come Wednesday. Guys, 3 hours has come and gone. It has been great. Jason, talking to you, doing this. It's been fun. I hope you've had as much fun as I've had.
I have doing double duty today. They call me double duty Jason because we got What's Up Cuz tonight coming up at 6 o'clock. We got a full show, and we got Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic. He's coming on our show to help us break down Bulls. We got a lot of Bulls conversation. We got some Chicago Sky conversation. We got some White Sox conversation. And I may throw in a little bit of track and field, Ivan, because, the outdoor season is getting ready to start up again, and I want to see what old Big Mouth Sha'Carri Richardson been doing in this offseason. Have you been training, girl? Them Jamaicans been training. So I want to see. Yeah, well, it's track and field. Yeah, we'll see.
Guys, 6 to 8 o'clock. We're gonna have Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic talking Bulls on What's Up Cuz. Make sure you guys check it out. Like I said, it's been a great ride. I appreciate you guys joining us. We had great guests today: Adam Chalifoux, Brad Squires talking Bulls and White Sox respectively. Armando with the Shawn Who. Now Shawn will be back on Wednesday, I'm sure. We're gonna be talking about that game, talking about those Bulls, talking about the draft that'll be coming up on Thursday. It's been a great day. So for everyone, for Jason Palmer, go ahead, Jason. Lead yourself out.
See you tonight on What's Up Cuz, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time.
I'm Ivan Vargas. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Make sure you check out Second City Sports with Lakina McGee and Sydney. They're going to be coming up right after this, so don't go anywhere. Check them out. Should be a great show. We're going to get out of here. We got 2 more words for you. We out.